Chapter 1072. Under the starlight, a stream of fire shot into the castle of the Starfall domain, dragging a long blood-red tail. Late at night, the news of Zhulong's defeat spread throughout the Dragon League. In the side chamber's infirmary, Zhulong's horrifying injuries gave everyone a fright. He was lying on the bed with his entire left arm severed. His chest was covered in piercing wounds caused by sharp arrows. The wounds did not form scabs as blood flowed incessantly. Can he be saved? Lin Muyu glanced at Zhulong's wounds and gently placed her palm on his chest. Supreme divine power continuously poured into his body to heal him, but soon found that it had little effect. Zhulong struggled to push Lin Muyu's palm away. "Leader, it's useless. Our powers do not come from the same source. My bloodline comes from the Jiuli, and your power comes from Fuxi." Gomeng was very calm. "Zhulong, who beat you up like this? Is it someone from the heaven-devouring region?" "Yes. Damn, it's the heaven-devouring region again," Nangong Lai said angrily. "We should have wiped out the heaven-devouring region in one go. Don't be impulsive." Zhulong stopped Nangong Lai with a glance. "The heaven-devouring region is not as simple as you think. They have Gonggong Axe and Hui Bao. Ahem. And the lord of the heaven-devouring region. Ahem. Isn't the lord of the heaven-devouring region Situ Yin?" Tang Xiaoxi asked. "It's not that simple. He is Go Long, the son of Gonggong." "What?" Lin Muyu was shocked. "Situ Yin is Gonggong's son?" "That's right." Zhulong gasped. "Gonggong Axe is extremely powerful, and Go Long's strength is far above his father's. It's not that easy to defeat Go Long. Moreover, there was a strange young man. He used Hui Bao to attack me and seriously injured me. That's why I lost. Leader, you must be careful of that young man." "Young man. Hui Bao." Lin Muyu frowned. "I understand. Zhulong, what about your injuries?" Gomeng narrowed his eyes and said, "The wounds inflicted by the Hui Bao are unable to heal on their own. It's all thanks to Torch Dragon's powerful vitality, or he would have died from blood loss." "Is there any way to heal the Hui Bao?" Lin Muyu asked. "There's only one way, dragon blood. The life force of a dragon is the strongest among the god-made creatures. Only by fusing with dragon blood can we stop the bleeding. Isn't Torch Dragon a dragon? In fact, he's a snake." Gomeng touched his nose. Zhulong glared at him and said, "Chief, only the purest divine dragon blood can heal me." "That's not a problem. Bring me a cup." Lin Muyu walked out of the infirmary and summoned Acatosaurus with a wave of her hand. Suddenly, the wind and clouds surged, and Acatosaurus proudly emerged from the huge magic array. Its injuries had all healed, but when it met Lin Muyu's malicious gaze, it felt that something bad was about to happen. With a howl, it hid behind Qinyin. Qinyin couldn't help but laugh. She gently stroked its head and said, "It's fine, I just need a little bit of your blood." Acatosaurus was skeptical. Lin Muyu put the teacup on the ground, then with a clang, she pulled out the Xianyuan sword and stabbed it into the ground. She said, "Do it yourself, I only need a little bit of dragon blood." Only then did Acatosaurus shake its head and step forward. It rubbed its claws back and forth on the Xianyuan sword, causing sparks to burst out. The dragon armor was too hard. Even with the Xianyuan sword's strength, it was difficult to break it. "Do you need my help?" Lin Muyu asked forcefully. Acatosaurus hurriedly shook its head and continued to use force, but the Xianyuan sword still couldn't break the dragon armor. Qinyin smiled helplessly. Looking around and seeing that there was no one around, she said, "I can only rely on Xiaoxi." Tang Xiaoxi was stunned. "Huh? Rely on me for what?" Qinyin chuckled and gently waved her palm towards the ground. Suddenly, a whirlwind rose. Coincidentally, Tang Xiaoxi was wearing a short skirt today. Under the whirlwind, the skirt fluttered, revealing her two well-proportioned, slender legs. Acatosaurus also saw it, and for a moment, it howled miserably. Pfft! Its nose started to bleed. Lin Muyu hurriedly held the wine cup and flew up to catch the dragon blood, while Tang Xiaoxi's face turned red. "Little Apple has learned bad things from Mu. Xiaoyin, why didn't you come?" "I didn't wear a skirt today, next time." "Humph, will there be a next time?" Yes. Qin Yin hurriedly comforted Tang Xiaoxi's agitated emotions, while Lin Muyu had already entered the infirmary to be treated. As soon as the dragon blood came in, the wound of the torched dragon began to slowly heal. The effect was very obvious, and in just a short period of time, the wound was almost completely healed. When the torched dragon sat up, Feng Zhanlin said, "Since the torched dragon ancestral shaman has recovered, shouldn't we immediately attack the Flaming Lion region? After all, we still have 2,000 or 3,000 troops there." "There's no need to go," Lin Muyu said. "Why?" Lin Muyu smiled helplessly. Since Situyin deliberately injured the torched dragon, he must have been prepared. The torched dragon has been flying for a long time, and the Flaming Lion region should have been breached long ago. In other words, our people have either been killed or surrendered. There won't be many who can escape. Nangong Lai's face was full of fighting spirit. "Alliance leader, are we just going to wait like this?" "Yes, let's just wait like this." Lin Muyu frowned. "This happened in the Flaming Lion region because of my poor arrangements, and I underestimated the heaven-devouring region. For now, we only need to guard the Fallen Star region, and don't act rashly. The more we stay quiet, the more the heaven-devouring region will not dare to act." "Yes, I understand." A day later, hundreds of people escaped from the direction of the Flaming Lion region, and most of the rest of the Dragon League troops had been captured. The Fallen Star region was in an uproar, and everyone believed that they should fight to the death with the heaven-devouring region. It was a good thing that morale was high, but the timing was not right. After Lin Muyu gave the order to stay put, the heaven-devouring Dominion did not rush to deal with the Dragon League. A mere torch dragon was enough to make the heaven-devouring Dominion send out all their elites, but there was more than one torch dragon in the Meteorite Dominion. Putting aside the 4 grand sorcerers, Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi were enough to make the heaven-devouring Dominion wary. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed and nothing happened. Lin Muyu and the others continued to cultivate in the Cave of Gods and Demons. Bright moonlight shone on the surface of the Cave of Gods and Demons, and a late autumn snow fell on the 64 regions. Large snowflakes fluttered in the air. In a simple and crude straw hut on the surface, Lin Muyu lay on the meadow, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi leaned on her left and right. This was a temporary resting place outside the Cave of Gods and Demons. "I wonder how the Shattered Cauldron world is doing." Qin Yin looked into the distance. After all, she still had things to worry about. "Yes, I wonder how Sister Chu Yao and Brother Feng are doing." Lin Muyu sat up and hugged Qin Yin's shoulders. She smiled and said, "But don't worry, the Demon Emperor and Xiao will take care of the Shattered Cauldron world. Don't worry, nothing will happen." "Yes." Qin Yin nodded happily. At this moment, the most dangerous period had passed. If they could endure it back then, it was simply a kind of enjoyment now. At this moment, the ground suddenly buzzed and trembled. Beams of light seeped out from the ground on the snowy plains. The light was resplendent and extremely astonishing. An extremely strong power of light came from the depths of the ground, and it brought with it a familiar aura. It was Xian's aura. She broke through. Lin Muyu clapped and said with a smile, "That's great. Sister Xian has finally broken through to the 80th level of the Grotto Heaven realm." "Really?" Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's eyes widened. From the entrance of the Cave of Gods and Demons, a figure floated out. It was Xian who was wielding the Qiyue sword. At this moment, Xian looked in high spirits, and 6 wings naturally spread out behind her. She could now maintain the Blazing Angel's battle form for a long time. "How do you feel, Sister Xian?" Lin Muyu flew over and asked with a smile. Xian tilted her head and looked at him. She said with a smile, "Brat, didn't you want me to help you destroy the heaven-devouring realm? Now I can fight 10,000 alone." Qin Yin chuckled. Lin Muyu was delighted. "That's great. Let's return to the Star region overnight and start gathering people. The day after tomorrow, we will directly attack the heaven-devouring realm's headquarters and destroy its foundation." "Yes." The next day, Lin Muyu issued a gathering order. Members of the Dragon League surged from all directions. On the 3rd day, before dawn, the mighty army of more than 10,000 Dragon League soldiers went straight to the heaven-devouring realm. Before noon, they arrived at the heaven-devouring realm. War drums thundered, and the army of the heaven-devouring realm was already ready. Lin Muyu floated up the mountain ridge and looked into the distance. The heaven-devouring realm's army was overwhelming on the plains in front of her. In terms of numbers, the heaven-devouring realm was firmly above the Dragon League. Banners fluttered in the air, and with a large number of servants, there were at least 100,000 people on the plains, waiting to fight the Dragon League. The battle between the two sides was originally a collision of strength. There were no fancy tricks. Wow, so many people! Feng Zhanlin exclaimed. Nangong Lai, on the other hand, rubbed his palms and smiled. I have waited for this day for too long. Finally, I can kill a lot of people. Tang Xiaoxi squinted her eyes and asked with a smile. Mu, do you want to set up a formation? This is a war between gods. What's the use of a formation? Lin Muyu chuckled. But we still need a formation. Order everyone to spread out on the plains, and prepare for the decisive battle with the heaven-devouring realm. Yes. Dong dong dong. The Dragon League set up dozens of drums on the hills, and the drumming never stopped. One by one, the immortal state experts crossed the mountains and appeared in the vision of the people of the heaven-devouring realm. In terms of military strategy, the celestial race army of the Dragon League came from the south, and the people of the heaven-devouring realm had to face the blazing sun. This was the advantage of military strategy. In fact, most of the participants' battlefield was not on the ground, but in the sky. As the two armies were at each other's throats, Lin Muyu flew to the camp of the heaven-devouring realm with the Xianyuan sword in her hand. She raised her long sword and said, Situ Yun, come out and talk. The formation separated, and Situ Yun came out with a battle axe in his hand. He smiled and said, It's an honor to meet you, Leader Lin. Chapter 1073. It's not too late for you to change your allegiance now. Haha, what a joke. There is only one master of the 64 domains. Why should it be the Dragon League? Situ Yun's face was cold, and the axe in his hand was glowing. I've been planning for thousands of years, and now I've finally gathered the Gong Gong axe, the Hoi Bao, and the Zhurong Bao. Come at me if you have the ability. Situ Yun spoke with great confidence, and the divine army of the devouring sky domain was ready to go. Lin Muyu squinted and searched for a long time, but she couldn't find the Hoi Bao, let alone the legendary young man. But she had to find him. The Hoi Bao could injure Candle Dragon, which meant it could injure anyone in the Dragon League. This Bao was the most dreaded existence in the Dragon League. Lin Muyu, you and I are the real masters of the Dragon League and the devouring sky domain. Do you have the guts to fight me? Situ Yun held the axe and said with a smile, The gods have the virtue of cherishing life. Look at the countless cultivators behind us. They understand the wonders of heaven and earth, absorb the spirits of all living things, and finally cultivate the way of heaven. If we let them fight each other, blood will inevitably flow. Instead of that, why don't you and I have a duel? And the loser will surrender to the other. What do you think? Lin Muyu frowned and didn't speak. Behind her, Tang Xiaoxi said loudly, Mu, don't believe his nonsense. Gomong also said in a low voice, Leader, this guy is just looking for an opportunity to use the Hoi Bao to injure you. Go Long is a dishonest villain. You can't trust him. Qin Yin held the Donghua sword and looked at the back of Lin Muyu, but she didn't speak. She knew that Lin Muyu must have a plan. Sure enough, after a long silence, Lin Muyu looked up at Situ Yun and said, Is this true? Yes. All right. Lin Muyu's eyes turned cold, and suddenly, a layer of golden luster covered her body. She immediately stepped into the immortal golden body realm, and her domain spread out in all directions. Her voice was contained in the domain, and she said in a clear voice, People of the heaven-devouring domain, listen up. The only purpose of the Dragon League is to unify the 64 domains, not to kill people. In the battle between me and Situ Yun, no matter who loses, they must surrender to the other, otherwise they will suffer the wrath of heaven. Feng Zhanlin, Nangong Lai, Ling Songhan, and the others raised their weapons and shouted, Long live the Dragon League! Long live the Alliance Chief! Everyone in the heaven-devouring realm had their own thoughts. They were not as united as the members of the Dragon League. After all, most of them had been defeated by the heaven-devouring realm. and they had never been loyal to the heaven-devouring realm or Situ Yun. Now that Lin Muyu and Situ Yun decided to decide the fate of the 64 realms in a decisive battle, they all approved of it. After all, ending the war without too many casualties was what everyone wanted. Snowflakes began drifting around Situ Yun. Streams of ice power coiled around his body, and the gong gong axe in his hand buzzed. His eyes were filled with a faint intent of killing as he said, "Alliance Chief Lin, are you ready?" "Yes, come on." With the Xianyuan sword held horizontally, Lin Muyu gave a low shout, and golden elephant wheels appeared indistinctly around him. At this moment, Shi Yan's voice rang in his ears. I've found the wielder of the Hui Bao. He's an extremely powerful divine emperor with dual laws of fire and space. Are you really confident that your immortal golden body can withstand the first shot of the Hui Bao? Yes, but I may not be able to take the second arrow. Sister Xian, you have to finish him quickly. Yes, don't worry. Just fight. Situ Yun laughed out loud. Treading on the ice constellation, Situ Yun dashed towards Lin Muyu. His axe was wrapped in icy light, as if it carried all the power of the snow in the sky. It was the first move of the Ice Spirit 9 strikes from Gong Gong, Flying Snowblade. At the moment when Gong Gong's axe chopped down, streams of ice and snow in the air also turned into ice blades, striking towards Lin Muyu. It was not just one attack, but thousands of attacks in an instant. The Xianyuan sword in Lin Muyu's hand shone brightly, and streams of green vines rose from the surroundings, flying towards Gong Gong's axe. The chaos of all lives. Countless green vines, trees, human figures, and other kinds of Xian power collided with the ice blade. With a loud clang, the Xianyuan sword and Gong Gong axe were separated from each other as soon as they touched each other. Waves of air swept out in all directions. Situ Yun gripped Gong Gong's axe with both of his hands. He only felt a numbing power seeping into his arms, and a faint swelling pain. This kid was so powerful, his strength had actually reached such a level. Moreover, Situ Yun also discovered that Lin Muyu had actually blocked his attack with only one hand. If she had held the sword with both hands, how powerful would it be? Good. Situ Yun said good 3 times in a row. The power in his arms soared, and an astonishing cold stream instantly gushed out from behind him. A large group of God Realm experts from the heaven-devouring territory hurriedly stepped back. If they were a little bit slower, they would have been frozen into ice bricks. How could Situ Yun's divine power be blocked by ordinary gods? The cold stream lingered around the axe like a wind. Situ Yun directly jumped from the first move of the Ice Spirit 9 strikes to the third move, Ice Spirit Cold Wind. This was an attack with the power of the law of wind, and it had to be guarded against. Lin Muyu could feel the majestic power contained in this attack. After all, Situ Yun was a 97th heavenly abode god emperor. In terms of divine power, it was still at least 50% higher than Lin Muyu's divine power. Situ Yun was destined to be unable to block the first few attacks of the 7 luminaries' dark force. In for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound, in for a pound. Raging flames quickly lingered on both of his arms. 5 elements, 8 wastelands destruction. The shapeless elephant spell silently operated, absorbing the surrounding power of heaven and earth to enhance the power of the 5 elements, 8 wastelands destruction. Lin Muyu was only at the 87th heavenly abode god realm, so she had to use all kinds of means to challenge someone of a higher realm. Come on! Situ Yun roared, and the Gong Gong axe attacked with the cold wind. Boom! In the air, the cold stream and the raging flames collided, and the 2 completely different forces engulfed each other. The sound of the explosion continued, and the whole sky was dyed red by the energy explosion. Lin Muyu's arm was numb, and she couldn't help but withdraw the long sword. Her body twisted in the whirlwind and instantly retreated nearly 100 meters. Her arm was slightly trembling, and there were actually streaks of blood flowing down from it. Situ Yun was not much better. He gave up all defense and attacked. While breaking the defense of the immortal golden body and injuring Lin Muyu, there were also 2 sword wounds on his chest that were so deep that the bone could be seen. There was no doubt that both of them were risking their lives. Zhu Long stood in the air, frowning and said, "Bad." "How bad?" Gomang and Dijiang asked at the same time. Zhu Long squinted his eyes and said, Go Long didn't use all his strength in the battle with me. What? He hid his strength? Go Mong was shocked. Yes, this kid. He has mastered the 9 ice soul strikes, and I'm afraid his strength is already above the 4 great witches. I know the strength of the leader very well. The power of the 5th star can only be tied with the 3rd attack of the 9 ice soul strikes. I'm afraid that once Situ Yun uses the 9th attack, the leader will not be able to resist it. Go Mong squinted his eyes and didn't say a word. At this time, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi had already approached Lin Muyu from both sides. They were about 200 meters away from each other, which was a distance that they could cover in an instant. They were ready to help at any time. At the same time, Zheng Xian, Du Xing, and the other experts from the Devouring Sky territory also approached quietly. They were ready to fight Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi at any time. With a roar, Situ Yin injected all his divine power into the battle axe, and ice cones began to grow under his feet. In the blink of an eye, the ice cones rushed to the ground, and a large glacier was slowly forming. The 5th attack of the 9 ice soul strikes, 1,000 miles frozen river. That powerful power was surging, and even Lin Muyu, who was used to the extremely cold temperature in the cave of gods and demons, felt very uncomfortable. Xian Yuan's sword was buzzing, and a golden ribbon appeared and lingered around Lin Muyu. The divine weapon had begun to protect its master with its own power. Lin Muyu held the sword with both hands, and as she silently circulated her power, streams of star power condensed into an armor behind her. This was the 4th move of the star scripture, the Star Lotus armor. The moment the Star Lotus armor was condensed, a dense cold air spread out. The 5th move, the Star Lotus armor. He had to continuously use the 2 ultimate moves of the star scripture to fight against Situ Yun's strength. In the distance, Shi Yan's pair of beautiful eyes were looking at the battlefield, and she couldn't help but sigh. Situ Yun was not simple. With his cultivation, he could be ranked in the top 10 in any divine realm. Even in the Western divine realm, except for the ruler and the 2 blazing angels, no one could reach Situ Yun's level. However, Situ Yun's opponent was Lin Muyu, who was also a rare genius. She was blessed with a supreme godhead, and had comprehended the immortal golden body. Otherwise, if it were someone else, they would have already been defeated. Take this. Situ Yun roared as he slashed out with his battle axe. Suddenly, numerous icicles rose from the ground and continuously bombarded Lin Muyu's domain. At the same time, Gong Gong's axe shone with a cold light as it smashed through the wall of the gourd that Lin Muyu had condensed, and went straight towards his neck. Lin Muyu shouted, and the golden 7 luminaries' immortal sword martial soul penetrated through her arms and into the Xian Yuan sword. Suddenly, the dark blue jade snow ice turned golden and whizzed forward. Boom! The icicles shattered, and the domain exploded. The sound of the explosion was endless. The ice and frost in the air formed a thick curtain of snow, making people unable to see the figures of the 2 people clearly. They could only see the splashing golden light, and the 2 people had already started fighting again in the snow curtain. At this moment, in the crowd of the heaven-devouring domain, a young man looked at the snow curtain with burning eyes. He gently swung the longbow in his hand, and instantly shot an arrow. Swoosh! The arrow light disappeared into the snow curtain. With a muffled groan, someone was hit by the arrow. Without a doubt, this was the voice of Lin Muyu. Now is the time. When the young man pulled the bowstring and prepared for the second shot, suddenly a mighty divine power appeared above his head. There, the beautiful figure of the blazing angel suddenly appeared, broke through the blockade of tens of thousands of experts in the heaven-devouring domain, broke through the 4-dimensional space, and the Qi sword blazed, just like the eyes of Shi Yan. Chapter 1074. Accomplice to the Evil Die. The blazing moon sword fell from the sky. Shi Yan's attack was powerful, and she directly used the 7th strike of Shi Yan's 7 strikes, God-slaying. This young man was none other than Su Chuan, one of the top 5 experts in the heaven-devouring territory, the 93rd heavenly cave. He was also the person that Situ Yin relied on the most. Otherwise, he would not have given him such an important sneak attack mission. Unfortunately, Situ Yin and Su Chuan did not expect Shi Yan's breakthrough and the rapid recovery of the blazing angel's power. He hurriedly raised the Hou Yi Bao, and used the bow made of divine iron to block the blazing moon sword. Clang! How could he block it? The blazing moon sword slashed down with the Hoi bow. Poochie! Blood splattered everywhere. Shi Yan's attack was fast and ruthless. It entered Sichuan's neck and came out from his waist, instantly splitting him into two. At the same time, she reached out and grabbed the Hoi bow. This longbow could instantly kill a target regardless of the flying trajectory. It could not be left in the hands of the opponent. Sichuan is dead. Sichuan is dead. The people of the heaven-devouring region were shocked. Du Xing and Zheng Xian were even more shocked. Shi Yan suddenly raised the bloodstained blazing moon sword and pointed it at the people. This person used a bow and arrow to attack, destroying the fair competition. Damn it! No one is allowed to act rashly, or you will end up like him. Facing the domineering blazing angel, who dared to move. Everyone knew Sichuan's strength very well. Even Sichuan could not withstand a single strike, let alone the others. At this time, a figure fell from the sky. It was Lin Muyu. A bloody light appeared on his shoulder. It was the penetrating wound of the Hoi bow. It was very serious. In the air, a silhouette immediately rushed down like a thunderbolt. It was Situ Yin, who was holding the gong gong axe. His face was stained with blood. It seemed as if his cheek had been hit by a sword. His skin and flesh had been split open. It was very frightening, and blood was flowing out unceasingly. He fiercely swung the axe and roared, "I will kill you. Alliance Master is in danger." Feng Zhanlin was shocked and drew his sword to help. On the other hand, Nangong Lai was much calmer. He suddenly pressed down on Feng Zhanlin's shoulder. "Wait, the Alliance Master will not be defeated so easily." Sure enough, just as the gong gong axe was about to hack down, Lin Muyu suddenly opened her eyes. Her body slightly bounced in the air, with a golden light and shadow. Her palm cleverly avoided the sharp edge of the gong gong axe and grabbed the handle of the gong gong axe. Borrowing the force from the air, her right hand that was holding the Xianyuan sword produced a series of golden elephant wheels, and fiercely smashed the hilt of the sword onto Situ Yun's chest. Bang! 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 Situ Yun was smashed to the point that he spat out a mouthful of blood. It was obviously a competition between two masters, but Lin Muyu's fighting style instantly changed from a confrontation of moves to a street fight. How could Situ Yun accept this? Both of them were grandmasters. Get lost! Situ Yun, who had flown into a rage out of humiliation, roared, and used the power of the frost domain to blast Lin Muyu's body apart. Indeed, in terms of strength, Situ Yun was indeed above Lin Muyu. But in Lin Muyu's eyes, Situ Yun saw a bit of ridicule. Not good. Situ Yun was shocked, but it was already too late. Behind him, two blazing lights attacked. Two very burning divine powers were Qin Yin's Donghua sword and Tang Xiaoxi's Dig spear. Boom. The god wall completely collapsed. Qin Yin turned her wrist, and the Donghua sword pierced through Situ Yun's abdomen. Tang Xiaoxi turned her palm, and the blazing firefox seal blasted toward Situ Yun's cheek. As the saying goes, when you hit someone, don't hit his face. But in Tang Xiaoxi's dictionary, there seemed to be no such sentence. Oh, that's right, she didn't have a dictionary at all. Why? Situ Yun roared and waved the gong gong axe randomly, but every time he missed. He was already seriously injured, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were in their peak state. In the sky, a cold light fell down. Bang! Situ Yun's body fell to the ground. The wound on Lin Muyu's shoulder was still bleeding, but she could only vent all her hatred on Situ Yun for being pierced by the Hoi bow. Lin Muyu's knee was pressed against Situ Yun's chest. He raised his hand and punched a few times. His fists were not simple. A golden elephant wool was wrapped around his wrist, just like a gorgeous watch, but the attack power was also very terrifying. After a few punches, Situ Yun's face was beyond recognition, and even his teeth were blown away. Situ Yun probably didn't expect this result, and he didn't expect that Lin Muyu could actually resist his Ice Soul 9 strikes. If not, the result would be completely different. Leader, please be lenient, please spare his life. Gomong descended from the sky and said, "In the end, Go Long is still the successor of our Jiuli clan. Even if he made a mistake, there is no need to kill him. Let me take care of him for the time being." "Gomong, are you not afraid that he will bite back?" No. Gomang opened his palm, and suddenly, a white dragon rushed out. It was Gomang's pet. However, the white dragon quickly turned into a white vine, and one end of it wrapped around Situ Yun's neck. The needles on the vine pierced into Situ Yun's body and blocked the meridians in his neck. In this way he couldn't even breathe. The white dragon rope is indestructible. Even if it was an ancient god, once he was imprisoned, he would not be able to escape. Leader, rest assured, I will slowly tame this evil creature. Then I will leave it to Senior Gomang. Lin Muyu grabbed the white dragon rope and pulled Situ Yun's body up from the ground. She flew up into the sky and said in a loud voice, "Everyone in the heaven-devouring region, look carefully. Situ Yun has been subdued by me. Immediately put down your weapons or else I will kill you." The leader of the heaven-devouring region, the strongest person in the 64 regions, was actually held like a chicken in her hand. Who could believe it? However, the fact in front of them was irrefutable. The people of the heaven-devouring region were dumbfounded. Lin Muyu smiled and said, "Of course, there is one person who cannot be pardoned. Sister Xian, help me kill him." Xian's figure flashed, and suddenly a person knelt on the ground. There was a bloody hole in his chest, and blood gushed out. It was Zheng Xian, an 88th level Grotto Heaven expert, but he could not even take a single blow from Xian. Moreover, he did not even know how Xian attacked. It was too fast. Lin Muyu was also shocked. If Xian recovered her 99th level Grotto Heaven, it would be terrible. Clang! No one knew who was the first to throw down his weapon. More and more experts of the heaven-devouring region put down their weapons and knelt on one knee. They hurriedly said, "We are willing to submit to Alliance Leader Lin and join the Dragon League." Feng Zhanlin and Nangonglai looked at each other and smiled. The 64 regions were finally unified. No one thought it would be so easy. Lin Muyu handed Situ Yun to Gomang. There was a lot of talent in the heaven-devouring region. Together with the strength of the Dragon League, there were nearly 50,000 immortal state experts. Most of these people were arrogant and unruly, and they needed to be rearranged. This was not a small amount of work. Fortunately, there was no leader. With the deterrence of the power of Lin Muyu, Xian Qinyin, and the others, the people of the heaven-devouring region did not have the courage to resist. The unification of the 64 regions by the Dragon League had become a fait accompli. Late at night, in the hall of the heaven-devouring region, Lin Muyu, who had finished healing, used her divine will to contact Xiao. At this time, in the hall of the East Heaven, there was an endless quarrel. Since we want to fight the Western Divine Realm, then let's fight. However, the Western Divine Realm still has an army of more than 100,000 angels. The angels scattered in various planes have also begun to gather. It is not as simple as we think. As for us, we only have 80,000 soldiers. Even if our individual combat power is stronger than the angel army, after the battle, Dongming in the Northern Heaven Realm is ready to make a move. Once Yangshang and Donghan's army of 160,000 are dispatched, the foundation of the entire East Heaven will be turned upside down. With that, he flipped his palm at the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. See, this is how it will turn the sky upside down. All the beautiful goddesses in the spiritual mountain will be finished. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor frowned. In that case, are we not going to fight the Western Divine Realm? Recently, that idiot Claude has been jumping around a lot. Xiao said, "We still have to fight. If we don't fight the Western Divine Realm, the Western Divine Realm will definitely attack us." Qingping smiled. "Sister Xiao, it's easy for you to say. How can we have so many troops? After Sun Feng goes out to battle, I'm afraid that there won't be anyone left to defend the Eastern Heaven Realm. Could it be that the Demon Emperor alone is enough?" Xiao pursed her red lips and said, "In the end, it is still the problem of the Northern Heaven Realm. How about we go to the Northern Heaven Realm again, and make an alliance with the God King Dongming, then attack the Western Divine Realm?" "I'm afraid this is the only way," Sun Feng said. At this moment, a beam of light fell in the hall and condensed into the appearance of Lin Muyu. "What's wrong? They seem to be quarreling." Lin Muyu was confused. No. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Xiao explained together with a smile. Lin Muyu said, Sister Xiao, have you finished what I asked you to do? Opening the passage between the ancient mystery realm and the god realm will take at least 30 minutes. Xiao was stunned. Why are you in such a hurry? The northern heaven will needs to replenish its divine power. I'm currently looking for spiritual energy materials. Don't be anxious. I can't be anxious. I have already unified the 64 domains. Ah, the 7 luminaries demon emperor's jaw almost dropped. So fast. It's only been a few days. Indeed, I have unified them. Now that more than 50,000 God realm experts in the 64 domains are under my control, they might all leave the 64 domains and come to the God realm. That's great. The 7 luminaries demon emperor laughed heartily. I need a force like this to fight against the northern God realm. Lin Muyu glared at him and said, I'm not looking for these troops to fight for you. No matter what, I have to settle the war in the Shattered Cauldron realm first. Alright, whatever you say. Lin Muyu asked again, Sister Xiao, how long will it take? About 3 months. Doesn't that mean I have to stay in the 64 domains for another 3 years? Yes, that's about it. Damn, then hurry up. Everyone, continue arguing. I'm leaving first. Lin Muyu waved her cloak and disappeared. She came and went quickly. Sun Feng and Qingping were confused. Are we still arguing? What are you arguing about? The 7 luminaries demon emperor stood up. Help Xiao gather spiritual energy materials and strengthen the northern heaven wheel's divine power. We will discuss the war after you returns. Yes. Chapter 1075. Heaven's Pole Continent, 12th of June. The scorching summer sun scorched the earth like burning charcoal. The entire Eastcom city was like a charcoal stove. The streets and alleys were filled with peddlers selling ice cubes. These ice cubes were harvested from snowy mountains, and each of them was sold for a sky-high price of 1 silver coin. Probably only the rich people in Eastcom city could afford them. Eastcom city, a city that had been baptized by wind and frost, was very leisurely. The Tianji Empire's emperor, Dark North, did not send any generals to guard Eastcom city again. Instead, he bestowed the city to Radiant Angel Midnight as his fief. All he had to do was pay taxes on time. As a result, Eastcom city had become Midnight's private territory. In the provincial capital, there were many guards. Huge dragons with iron chains in their mouths flew down from their lair, swaying their huge tails to be fed by humans. The dragon lair stood tall in the city, becoming a landmark of Eastcom city. Deep in the mansion, Midnight, who was dressed in luxurious clothes, was playing checkers with another strength angel, Mach. They were playing the Western Divine Realms checkers, while Dora stood guard at the side with a sword in hand. Any news from the Divine Realm? Midnight asked. Not yet, Honorable Envoy. Dora thought for a while and continued. Lord Ruler hasn't given any orders for half a year. The last order was for Lord Envoy to guard the Heaven's Pole Continent and defend against the Shattered Cauldron Realm's attack. Oh. Is there any news from Lord Eva? No, Lord Eva is with Lord Ruler. She's still in the Western Divine Realm. Midnight looked up at the sky outside the skylight and said, I wonder what Lord Ruler plans to do next. The remaining people in the Heaven's Pole Continent are gradually losing strength. In a few more years, perhaps even the Shattered Cauldron Realm's Feng Jixing, Tang Xiaoxi Weiqiu, and the others won't be able to be underestimated. Dora smiled faintly. Lord Envoy, there's no need to worry about those people. After all, they're gods from the mortal realm. They haven't received the blessings of the divine realm, nor have they seen the greatness of the power of laws. No matter how strong they are, their power is limited. Lord Envoy, please rest assured. Lord Envoy, the ruler won't abandon loyal servants like us. Yes, I hope so. Zai lowered his head and looked at the chessboard again. He raised his hand and took one of Mach's stones. He smiled and said, Lord Mach, I didn't expect you to still lose by 1 move. Mach smiled in amazement. I can't help but admire you. Your chess skills are indeed exquisite and admirable. Shall we play another round? All right. Eastcom City remained quiet until late at night. 3 dragon knights patrolled the city on their giant dragons. This was the rule of Eastcom City. After all, there were more and more godly realm experts on the continent. Only the dragon knights could fight them. It was a starry night, and starlight shone on the ground. This was the favorite time for the Western Divine Realm's angels to cultivate. The starlight was very cold, completely different from the heat of the sun. In order to have great achievements in the laws of light, one had to be well versed in the two different powers of light, scorching and cold. In the provincial capital's altar, midnight stood proudly in the center, absorbing the light of the stars in the sky. Mok stood further away. As for Dora, she led hundreds of guards further away on guard. Unknowingly, Dora had already become the person in charge of Eastcom Province's military power. Midnight and Mok weren't passionate about power, but Dora was passionate about it. Without a doubt, this resulted in such a situation. Zai raised his elegant neck, exuding an extraordinary aura. He felt the power of the stars in the sky, as well as the charm of the celestial pole continent, which was rich in spiritual power. After an unknown period of time, a ripple suddenly surged in the sky. Zai couldn't help but frown. It seemed that someone was coming. "What's wrong, Lord Zai?" Mok asked from afar. Zai shook his head. "I don't know what happened. It seems to be an illusion. It seems like a god has descended. The Western Divine Realm has sent more troops?" Mok was somewhat happy. "No." Zai frowned. "The source of divine power doesn't come from the Western Divine Realm, but from the Northern Divine Realm. Not good. Mok, be careful. Someone really is coming, and they don't come with good intentions." In the sky, a wisp of divine power approached at an astonishing speed. Soon, a visible ball of flames descended from the sky like a meteor, smashing straight in Zai's direction. "Be **starred." Zai roared, raised his sword, and swept out a majestic pattern of light. Boom! Amidst the explosion, half of the altar's formation was destroyed. Zai retreated miserably and fell into the rubble. There was a large hole in front of him, and there was even a crack on Zai's sword. This was the sword of light forged by the Western Divine Realm, and it was actually broken with just a simple attack? As Zai looked on as if he was facing a great enemy, a person walked out of the deep hole in front of him, his step steady. It was a young man with a smile on his face. In his hand was a saber surrounded by flames, and his body was bathed in flames. He seemed to be enjoying it very much. He smiled and said, "You can actually take one of my attacks. The radiant angel of the Western Divine Realm is indeed not simple." Zai's whole body trembled. The opponent's power was definitely above his, and it was a lot higher. Who are you?" Zai desperately tried to calm down. The person smiled, held his saber horizontally, and said, "The person who is about to take over the entire celestial pole continent." Who exactly are you?" Zai gripped his sword tightly, and all the light divine power in his body burst out. He knew that if he couldn't block any of this person's next attacks, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. His opponent's killing intent was already surging, and he didn't hide it at all. "It doesn't matter if I tell you." The person casually rested the saber on his shoulder, and said with a smile, "One of the two great marshals under the Northern Divine Realm's Divine King Dongming, Yangshang. Don't tell me that a radiant angel like you doesn't know about the alliance between the Northern Divine Realm and the Western Divine Realm? The celestial pole continent is already under the jurisdiction of the Northern Divine Realm. This time, I came to inspect the territory, huh?" The corner of Zai's mouth twitched and he said, "So it's Marshal Yangshang. If that's the case, I can return to the Western Divine Realm to hand in my orders. Marshal Yangshang, please take over the celestial pole continent." Unexpectedly, Yangshang raised his eyebrows and said, "No, you can't leave." "Why?" Zai was shocked. A cold smile flitted across the corner of Yangshang's mouth, and he said, "As the saying goes, the voice seizes the person. The Northern Divine Realm has never had any foundation in the celestial pole continent. If I don't kill a ruler with enough power, how can I make the continent submit to the Northern Divine Realm? Thank you for your hard work. What's your name, Radiant Angel?" Zai gritted his teeth. At this time, Mok had already arrived beside Zai, and the long sword in his hand burst with a cold light. He said, "Lord Zai, we are both perfect god emperors. Let's fight him to the death. I don't believe that two four-winged angels can't kill a barbarian from the northern divine realm. Oh, so your name is Zai. Yangshang laughed loudly. I'll take your heads. Just because you called me a barbarian. I'll make sure you die without a complete corpse. Zai gripped his longsword tightly, and a sharp light burst out of his eyes. Fight! Boom boom boom. Fire and light blossomed in the center of the altar, and the earth rumbled. Not good, something has happened to the holy altar. Dora was shocked, and he whistled into the air. Dragon Knights, reinforce the holy altar. Guards, follow me and kill our way over. Most of these guards were equipped with demon heart arrows and demonic crystal crossbows, and they were quite a threat to God realm experts. This was where Dora was smart, and he would make use of whatever he could. He would not do anything that would cost him nothing. Torches lit up the surroundings, and when Dora led a group of soldiers to kill their way over to the holy altar, they discovered that the holy altar had already been razed to the ground. Amidst the flames that filled the sky, an imposing man could be seen holding a head in his hand. That head looked familiar, and it was none other than the head of the radiant angel Zai. Even his divine essence had been stolen. The man stepped on another corpse, and pulled out a bitingly cold flaming war blade from the corpse. Blood splattered everywhere, and that corpse was none other than the strength angel Mach. The light from the four wings behind Mach was slowly dissipating. Once an angel died, the power of the blessing would leave their body. Lord Zai, Lord Mach. Dora's eyes widened in disbelief. Everyone thought that Zai was the strongest god in the entire celestial pole continent, and even the shattered cauldron realm, but just now, he and Mach had still been killed. The man walked over with Zai's head in his hand, and his eyes were like torches as he stared at Dora. He said in a low but powerful voice, "Kneel." What? Dora's body trembled. I order you to kneel. The man's voice became a notch heavier. Kneel. Pay your respects to your new master. The man's voice was incomparably deep. Dora's entire body trembled, and the group of soldiers behind him could not withstand such pressure. One by one they all knelt down. Dora resisted for about half a minute, and finally, his knees gave way, and he slowly knelt down. The man smiled. That's more like it. Your new master comes from the northern god realm, and he is one of the two great marshals of the god realm. His name is Yangshang. Remember this well. For the rest of your lives, you will be loyal to this name. Dora slowly said, Yes, Marshal Yangshang. What's your name? Yangshang raised his eyebrows and asked. Dora. My name is Dora. I am a black-winged battle angel from the western divine realm. From today onwards, you are no longer a citizen of the western divine realm. Yangshang stared at her coldly. You are a citizen of the northern god realm. So you are one of my Yangshangs. Do you understand? Yes, I will. Dora knelt on the ground and lowered her head. Raise your head. Let me see your face, Yangshang said. Yes, Dora raised her head. Yangshang gave her a dry smile and said, Do you want to live? I do. There is a rule in our northern god realm. If you want a woman to be loyal to you, you must first turn her into your woman. Do you understand this principle? Yangshang's eyes burned with passion. The corner of Dora's mouth curled up slightly. I understand. Chapter 1076. In the depths of the mansion in the provincial capital, the red curtains fluttered gently. The sound of breathing grew heavier. Finally, after a deep sigh, Yangshang poured his passion into Dora's body. After everything was over, Dora continued to sit on Yangshang's body. She seemed reluctant to leave. While embracing him, she lazily rested her exquisite upper body on Yangshang's chest. Marshal, are you comfortable? She asked softly. Yangshang stroked her hair and smiled. You torturous little vixen. Dora smiled. Her smile was extremely sweet. Why are you willing to submit to me so quickly? You should know that Zai and Mach wouldn't submit to me even if they had to risk their lives, Yangshang said softly. Dora smiled faintly and looked meaningfully at Yangshang. I'm of lowly birth. In the western divine realm, I'm just cannon fodder. The ruler has never cared about the lives of people like me. If he really cared, he would have ordered us to return to the god realm long ago. He wouldn't have stayed here to wait for you to take our lives. Yang Shang sneered. So that's how it is. You're willing to submit to me because Claude is using you? How do you know I'm not using you? Dora sat up and flipped her hair. She looked rather lazy. The marshal just said. What did he say? Comfortable. That's enough. Ha ha ha. Yang Shang couldn't help but laugh. In the blink of an eye, he regained his masculinity. Dora couldn't help but moan. Her body leaned back slightly, and her two perky breasts ruffled in the wind. Yang Shang held her waist and swayed again. He liked this kind of woman. She didn't hide it. Dora snorted as he said. The marshal killed Zai and Mok. The two of them are the highest authorities in Eastcom province. The news has already spread. Tomorrow, everyone in the imperial capital will know that Eastcom City has fallen into the marshal's hands. That emperor, Dark North Abyss, isn't a pushover. He'll definitely send an army. Marshal. Yang Shang swayed her slender waist as he said in a low voice. You don't need to worry at all. What does a mere human army count for? This old man's Northern Divine Realm army is already in the midst of preparations. Tomorrow morning, 10,000 advanced troops of the god race will arrive at the Heavenly Pole continent. You don't need to worry about anything else. Tomorrow morning, all you need to do is dress up properly and follow me to welcome the god race army. 10,000 god race army. Dora hesitated, then her face filled with joy. She said, Marshal, don't forget me, Marshal. I want revenge. You? Revenge? Yes, back then that bitch Sheen took almost everything from me. I want revenge. I want to cut off Sheen's head, Lin Muyu's and Tang Xiaoxi's heads to vent my hatred. Who's Sheen? Qinin. Oh, I see. Yang Shang gave her a heavy pat and said, Don't worry, Lin Muyu and Qinin are also people I want to kill. They won't be able to escape. When my vanguard arrives, I'll let you personally command a portion of them. If possible, I'll let you personally take revenge. Thank you, Marshal. Damn, this feels great. The next day, Dora woke up early in the morning. She put on a long dress and looked like a fairy. However, no one knew how much filth was hidden in her body. Dora didn't care at all. If she could take revenge, what was the big deal about selling her body? Besides, her body was just a bag of skin. Why should she care about it? Eastcom City originally had a garrison of 30,000. Most of them had already fled, leaving only a few hundred to follow Dora. The city gates opened. Dora rode a fine horse and walked out of Eastcom City alongside Yang Shang. Behind them was a mighty garrison of several hundred people. The citizens of the city watched from afar. Many of them knew Dora. This woman, who often went in and out of the city, had an extremely high status in the army. She wasn't inferior to Mok. Everyone arrived at the open space outside the city. Yang Shang rode his horse at the front. Seeing the doubts on everyone's faces, he couldn't help but laugh loudly. When the rolling flames from the sky land on this land, it means that the celestial army has arrived. We will conquer this land with steel blades and iron swords, letting the people know who the gods they should worship are. As he spoke, Yang Shang suddenly pulled out his saber, Emperor Flame, and pointed it at the sky. Immediately, strands of flame soared into the sky. Under Yang Shang's stirring, strands of flame soared into the sky. It was as if the sky had been torn open. In the blink of an eye, a huge black hole appeared above everyone's heads. Yang Shang shouted in a deep voice, Come down! Whoosh! A strand of flame shot down from the black space, followed by a second, a third, and more. Tens of thousands of meteorite-like objects fell from the sky and smashed into the ground outside Eastcom City. When the dust and flames slowly dissipated, the celestial race army wearing golden armor could be seen standing proudly on this piece of land. They were well-trained and were very different from the scattered gods in the heaven realm. Very quickly, they formed into square formations. Each square formation had 400 people. There was a total of 25 square formations. They walked over uniformly and instantly knelt down together. Their voices echoed in the air. Greetings, Marshal. It wasn't just Dora. Everyone else was stunned as well. This kind of battle formation was simply too shocking. No wonder the three great god realms called the North Barbarians. The battle strength of the northern god realm wasn't what they were bragging about. They were even stronger than what they had been bragging about. Yang Shang nodded in satisfaction. You came at the right time. A divine general stepped forward and said respectfully, What is the matter? Marshal, please give the order. Very well. Yang Shang pointed to the west and said, There's a human army about 50 kilometers to the west of this city. They belong to the Tianji Empire, and they're also an army that we must defeat. Listen to my command. Immediately march to the west and defeat them. Yes. The celestial army turned around and rose into the sky. They turned into a golden cloud and flew to the west. There are 200,000 soldiers of the Yanji army. Dora's voice was slightly trembling. The Yanji army was the last regular army of the Tianji Empire. These 200,000 elite soldiers were reorganized from the Yanji army, the Lanji army and the provincial army. They were also the last hope of the Tianji Empire. They were personally led by Marshal Gong Shangming. Once this Yanji army was defeated, it would mean that the Tianji Empire was really finished. Fengyan County, a county city on the border between Eastcom Province and Tianji Province. It was also the base of the Yanji army. The mighty army was divided into 3 camps and stationed around Fengyan County. War flags were fluttering in the wind, and the sound of drilling could be heard constantly. This army was the last regular army of the Tianji Empire, so they could not slack off. In the marshal's tent, Gong Shangming kept coughing. He had been suffering from a cough since spring, and it had not improved until now. 2 rows of generals stood on the left and right. One of them cupped his fists and said, Marshal, Eastcom City has changed owners. The letter said that a man with a large saber killed the 2 angels, Zion Mok. Dora has already surrendered. I don't know where this man came from. What should we do? Gong Shangming looked up at him and said, The war in the celestial realm has finally spread to the human world. We are mortals after all. What can we do? This news should have reached the imperial capital, but I am afraid that His Majesty's decree will not reach the Yanji army for a while. What should we do? Pass down the order. Gong Shangming's voice was a little hoarse as he said, Order the 50,000 vanguard troops to get into formation, and prepare the demonic heart arrows and magic crystal crossbows. If there is really an enemy, it will definitely come from Eastcom City. The entire army is in a state of war. We are soldiers. No matter who the enemy is, it is our duty to guard the territory. Yes, I understand. In less than 2 hours, the vanguard troops had finished getting into formation with the sound of the horn. The formation was neat, and the swords and armor were bright. Gong Shangming was a general, worthy of the title of Tianji Empire's marshal. The soldiers of the Yanji army looked into the distance with stern eyes. They had not seen the enemy yet, but a premonition of impending death made them very uneasy. The marshal ordered us to defend against the enemy. Who is the enemy? Is it the garrison of Eastcom City? A centurion asked. Impossible. The garrison of Eastcom City moved to Tianji Province last night. Another centurion refuted. Who could the enemy be? Perhaps it's just the marshal's imagination. After all, the Battle of Eastcom City was too tragic. Perhaps the marshal has already become a frightened bird. Shoo, if Lord Captaincy hears this, both of us will die. Yes, yes. At that moment, a sharp-eyed soldier suddenly pointed at the distant horizon and said, Look, there's a cloud floating over there. It's golden. Yes, yes. Everyone looked over and clicked their tongues in wonder. Golden clouds were rare, and it was noon, not dusk. It was even rarer. In the marshal's tent, Gong Shangming coughed and walked out. He looked at the golden cloud in the distance, and his heart beat violently for no reason. He said, Sound the drums immediately. Tell everyone to be on guard, and prepare the crossbows. Yes. Dong dong dong. The sound of drums reverberated, signifying the arrival of the great battle. In the sky, the golden cloud was getting closer and closer. Finally, everyone could see clearly that it was not a cloud. It was clearly a group of divine soldiers descending from the sky. Clang. The vanguard troops of the northern divine realm pulled out their weapons. Accompanied by angry roars, raging flames descended from the sky. Ah! Gong Xiangming suddenly felt as if his heart had been pierced by a sharp knife. He took several steps back and looked into the distance with a pale face. There, miserable screams could be heard. In just an instant, the vanguard troops of the vanguard troops had been reduced to dust. Raging flames burned the ground. An extremely powerful sword aura swept across the ground, not caring about spear formations or heavy armor troops. How was this a battle? It was just a massacre. Chapter 1077. 5,000 vanguard soldiers gone. The deputy general slumped to the ground, his face pale. Who are they? Who are they, to be able to wipe out our most elite army in an instant? Heavens, who exactly are they? They're not human at all. Gong Xiangming trembled slightly and said, "They're gods, they're the army of the god realm." Commander Gong, what should we do? The deputy general was at a loss. Gong Xiangming inhaled deeply and said, "We don't have the power to decide the life and death of our soldiers. We can't let them die for nothing. Send the order to stop the attack, retreat, and send envoys to negotiate for peace." "Can we make it in time? I'll go myself." Gong Xiangming snatched the commander's flag from the guard's hand, leaped onto his horse and galloped towards the battlefield of the vanguard. In the sky, countless northern divine realm gods were slaughtering wantonly, their faces full of enjoyment. "Commander Gong, be careful." The commander of the vanguard battalion raised his spear and charged towards Gong Xiangming. His entire body was covered in blood, but he did not go too far. Suddenly, a sharp blade pierced through his back. It was a spear thrown by a god state expert. "Protect Commander Gong," he screamed at the top of his lungs before he died. Dozens of vanguard battalion soldiers rushed over, but the flames behind them soared into the sky. A pillar of fire blossomed in the crowd, burning dozens of people alive into ashes. Gong Xiangming's entire body trembled. Facing the surging gods in the sky, he raised the commander's flag and shouted, "I am Commander Gong Xiangming of the Tianji Empire. I am willing to surrender with my army. No matter where you come from, I am willing to surrender and pledge my loyalty." He was a refined scholar, yet he was able to persevere in the face of the pressure of the gods. In the sky, the crowd dispersed as Marshal Yangshang walked over step by step. He smiled and said, "You're Gong Xiangming?" "That's right, that's me." He's just a Confucian scholar without the strength to truss a chicken. "Aren't you afraid?" Yangshang asked with a smile. "Afraid? If death can set me free, what's there to be afraid of?" Gong Xiangming smiled at Yangshang and said, "Which army are you from? What are your intentions in coming here?" Yangshang clenched his fists and said, "Northern God Realm Army. I am Marshal Yangshang and I have led the Northern God Realm Army here to take over this entire plain. Those who are stubborn will be killed without mercy. Now tell me, what do you plan to do?" Gong Xiangming cupped his fists. "As long as you treat my army well, Gong Xiangming is willing to lead my army and submit to you. Why did you surrender?" Yangshang stared at him like a sword. "Do you know that I hate people who are afraid of death the most? I especially hate traitors like you. If you can't give me a reason that can convince me, then just wait for your death." Gong Xiangming looked up at Yangshang and smiled. "Although I am the marshal, the 200,000 soldiers behind me are the strong men of the Tianji Empire. They bear the future and continuity of the empire on their backs. Although I can protect my reputation by fighting to the death here, the 200,000 men will be wiped out. What I bear is more than just treason. It's the shame of having my entire family exterminated. If you think that I am afraid of death, Gong Xiangming can commit suicide right here, and now to show my sincerity. No need." Yangshang raised his hand and chuckled. "You're quite an interesting person. Forget it, I won't pursue this matter with you. Order your army to change into the flag of the Northern God Realm, and immediately set off for Tianji City. I want to destroy Tianji City in the shortest time possible, and unify the entire Tianji Empire." "All right." Gong Xiangming's hand that was holding the flag finally stopped trembling, but his face was filled with pain. 7 days later, the 200,000-strong Yanji army turned around and launched a counterattack. They killed their way to the imperial capital's Tianji City in just a few days. They didn't even encounter any resistance along the way. Gong Xiangming used the name of a marshal to summon the generals guarding the passes along the way. The first day of the siege, everyone in the entire Tianji imperial city was in a state of panic. The main hall was even more anxious. Bastards! They're all a bunch of ungrateful traitors. Bai Mingyuan threw the incense burner heavily on the floor of the main hall. The veins on his face bulged as he said, Gong Xiangming, this despicable villain. He actually made my 200,000 soldiers change sides just like that. I must have been blind to have given the marshal's seal to such an ungrateful villain. I must have been blind. Your Majesty. The general guarding the city cupped his hands and said, Gong Xiangming said outside the city that he is willing to have a chat with your Majesty. As long as your Majesty allows it, he will enter the imperial capital alone to see your Majesty. Does he still have the face? Bai Mingyuan roared angrily. He lost 200,000 soldiers and he still has the face to see me? Your Majesty, please reconsider. Deputy Commander Ouyang Chong said in a deep voice. Since Commander Gong said so, it is necessary. There is no harm in meeting him and seeing what he has to say. Someone bring Gong Xiangming here. Yes. For hours later, a group of people galloped into the imperial palace. Gong Xiangming, who was dressed in a white robe, coughed violently due to his frail body. He entered the main hall with the help of 2 attendants and knelt on the ground. This sinner, Gong Xiangming, greets your Majesty. Bai Mingyuan said coldly, Gong Xiangming, do you know that you are guilty of the death penalty? This subject knows. Gong Xiangming raised his head to look at Bai Mingyuan and said, But your Majesty, the enemy this time is not the human race, but the god race. The god race army from the northern divine realm has more than 10,000 people, and every one of them is brave and invincible. Our army is no match for them at all. If this subject gives the order to fight to the death, these 200,000 strong young warriors will definitely die for the country. Instead of striking a rock with an egg, why not let them live? Impudent! Impudent! Bai Mingyuan threw the second incense burner down and roared angrily. Who are you? Who are you? What right do you have to hand over my country to someone else just like that? Gong Xiangming painfully closed his eyes. Your Majesty, please reconsider. If these young warriors are no longer here, where will your country go? If the people's hearts are no longer on your Majesty's side, how will your Majesty be able to protect your country? You're still quibbling. Yangshang's army is here. Can I still protect my country now? Your Majesty. Gong Xiangming tried to persuade him. Marshal Yangshang has already promised this subordinate that as long as your Majesty is willing to submit and agree to surrender, Marshal Yangshang can continue to promise your Majesty to be the emperor. However, you will have to hand over all the military power of the country. But this way, at least the lives of the people of the country can be protected, right? Did Yangshang really say that? Yes. Good. 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 Bai Mingyuan stood up and laughed heartily. Guards, detain Gong Xiangming in the imperial prison. Here, this is our cloud dragon sword. Gong Xiangming, once Yangshang's army enters the city, we will send someone to inform you. You can take your own life. Gong Xiangming's entire body trembled, and his heart was in a mess. After a long time he laughed bitterly. Retribution, retribution. Looking at the cloud dragon sword that the attendant brought over, he slowly accepted it and knelt on the ground. Your subject Gong Xiangming thanks your Majesty for your grace. At dusk, the blood-red rays of the setting sun shone into the city, accompanied by the rumbling sound of the city gates opening. This majestic imperial capital that had stood for thousands of years had finally changed owners. Rows and rows of golden-armored soldiers from the northern god realm entered the city, showing off their might. To them, this city was a spoil of war that they could enjoy as they pleased. Emperor Bai Mingyuan led his officials to welcome Yangshang at the center of the plaza. However, when Yangshang appeared with Dora surrounded by the gods, Bai Mingyuan slowly knelt down. Tianji Bai Mingyuan greets Marshal Yangshang. The corner of Yangshang's mouth curled up slightly. You are Bai Mingyuan? Your empire is so powerful, but you can't dominate the entire continent. Is it because you are useless? Or is it because your empire's warriors are useless? Bai Mingyuan frowned deeply. It is my incompetence. Marshall's reprimand is extremely correct. Humph, move out of the Imperial Palace. From today onwards, this Imperial Palace will be my temporary Imperial residence. Yes. Oh right, where is Gong Xiangming? Marshal Gong felt guilty and felt that he had no face to face the citizens of the Empire, so he committed suicide. What? Yang Shang was stunned. At the side, Dora smiled sweetly. Marshal, Gong Xiangming is just a traitor. What's there to feel sorry for? Let's go to the palace and rest early. Marshal must be tired after a day like this. Haha, I'm not tired. Yang Shang looked around and said, this city hasn't truly submitted to me yet, so I still have the energy to deal with some troublesome people. Dora, tell me, who else do I have in this city? Enemies. A cold light flashed through Dora's eyes and she said, there is one, the sect master of the Tianji sect, Sikong Ming. He is Si Kongyao's grandfather, and he is the strongest person in the entire Tianji Empire, and even the celestial pole continent. If Marshal wants the world to accept you wholeheartedly, you must eliminate Sikong Ming first. Sikong Ming lives in the headquarters of the Tianji sect, less than 2.5 kilometers from here. That's great. Yang Shang sneered. Guards, take over the defense of the entire Tianji city, and bring some people to the palace to collect all the valuables. The rest follow me. I want to meet the legendary Sikong Ming. Yes, Marshal. In the prison, the cold air was oppressive. Cough, cough, cough. Gong Xiangming curled up in a corner, coughing violently. His originally handsome face was now filled with desolation, as if he had aged a lot. He didn't look like Marshal Gong in the past. Beside him, the cloud dragon sword was glowing with a faint golden light. To Gong Xiangming, this was a sword that claimed his life. Clang clang. Outside, the guard knocked on the iron ring and said, Yangshang's God Race army has entered the city. Marshal Gong, you should be on your way. Gong Xiangming smiled bitterly and slowly stood up with the help of his long sword. He had saved the lives of 200,000 soldiers and millions of people in Tianji City. However, the price was his own life. Although Baiming Yuan's imperial power no longer existed, he could still easily kill Gong Xiangming. This was also the only way for Baiming Yuan to vent his anger. Gong Xiangming's eyes lit up. Blood splattered on the ice-cold wall, and the cloud dragon sword fell to the ground. A generation of Marshal Gong died in the ice-cold prison just like that. Chapter 1078. The main altar of the Celestial Barrier sect was filled with birdsong and fragrant flowers. The training ground was filled with the sounds of people practicing and practicing. This was Sikong Ming's order. No matter how chaotic the Celestial Barrier City was, the Celestial Barrier sect could not fall into chaos. This was the sect's rule. Boom. The steel door was suddenly smashed, and Yang Shang floated in. Not far away, a few disciples of the Celestial Barrier sect were indifferent. They just looked at Yang Shang and the other gods of the Northern Divine Realm. Where is Sikong Ming? Yang Shang asked coldly. A disciple stepped forward and said, Marshal, the sect master is waiting for you. I will bring you there now. Oh. The Celestial Barrier sect's calmness exceeded Yang Shang's expectations. He smiled and said, then lead the way. Yes. After the disciple passed through a few pavilions, they arrived at the courtyard in the backyard where the Chinese roses were in full bloom and their fragrance filled their nostrils. Yang Shang had brought quite a number of people with him. Nearly 200 Northern Divine Realms God Race soldiers were standing in a row outside the courtyard. Sikong Ming was sitting on a stone bench under a peach tree as he sipped on a cup of tea. Marshal, since you are here, won't you have a sip? Sikong Ming smiled faintly. Heh. Yang Shang walked into the peach forest slowly, and sat down in front of Sikong Ming. He smiled and said, You are Sikong Ming? That's me. Aren't you afraid? What's there to be afraid of? Sikong Ming poured a cup of tea for Yang Shang and said, This is the flower tea from the southern mountain of the Celestial Barrier City. Marshal, try it. I don't have the time to drink tea here. Yang Shang slammed his palm on the stone tea table. His face was filled with anger. However, this palm shook the stone table with a pung sound, but it didn't shatter. Faint streams of air lingered around the stone table, surprising people, as if there was some kind of power protecting the stone table. Interesting. Yang Shang raised his head to look at Si Kongming and said with a smile, "Looks like Senior is indeed worthy of being called a senior expert. Yang Shang seeks guidance. I wonder if Senior can grant me some guidance?" The marshal's evil aura is too strong. It's easy to hurt yourself if you fight like this. Moreover, you've brought so many godly state experts with you. It's obvious that you want to destroy the Tianji sect. Am I right? That's right. If you lose, I will indeed destroy the Tianji sect. Then please follow this old man. Si Kongming pointed at the thatched hut behind him and said, "That thatched hut is this old man's residence, and is also a good place to spar. Does the marshal dare to follow this old man?" "Why wouldn't I dare?" Yang Shang smiled faintly. "Then come." Si Kongming patted his butt and sat up. Dora frowned and said, "Marshal, this Si Kongming is full of tricks. You mustn't fall for his tricks." "Shut up, I know what I'm doing." Yang Shang glared fiercely at Dora, his eyes filled with killing intent. Dora felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave, and her entire body was still trembling. Only now did she know what kind of person Yang Shang was. He was the possessor of power and authority, and could not be refuted. His attitude on the bed last night was not like this. Si Kongming slowly pushed open the wooden door of the thatched hut, and walked in first. When Yang Shang followed him in, he felt a gust of cold wind sweep past, and the wooden door behind him was closed. What he was standing on was not a wooden floor, but a four-dimensional space with layers of ripples. There was another world inside the thatched hut, and it was basically another domain space created by Si Kongming. It could also be said that Yang Shang had stepped into the space created by Si Kongming. "Who exactly are you?" Yang Shang was a little stunned. Si Kongming slowly stepped on the star flames and walked towards the higher part of the domain space. He smiled and said, "Marshal, do you know what this old man's principles are in the celestial pole continent?" "What?" "Stand aloof from worldly affairs." Si Kongming turned around and smiled. He actually looked like a fairy with white hair and a youthful face. He gently raised his palm, and a great void constellation condensed. He said, "The celestial pole sect has the same attitude as this old man. For thousands of years, we have stood aloof from worldly affairs, and only cultivate and seek the heavenly Tao." "A bunch of nonsense." Yang Shang roared angrily, and the Emperor Flame Saber in his hand surged with flames as he slashed at Si Kongming. With a roar, several hundred meters of saber chi swept across the sky, and as the saber chi produced a pillar of fire that soared into the sky, it instantly engulfed Si Kongming's body. Bang! Amidst the explosion, the saber seemed to have slashed into cotton. When Yang Shang looked up again, he saw Si Kongming standing leisurely in the great void, and the smile on his face became even wider. "Who exactly are you?" Yang Shang slowly lowered the Emperor Flame Saber. He no longer planned to fight with his life on the line, because he would be able to determine the victor with a single strike. He definitely wouldn't be able to kill Si Kongming. This Si Kongming's strength was far from being as simple as a 94-stage grotto heaven in the rumors. What Yang Shang felt was the overwhelming righteousness that was surging out from a 99-stage grotto heaven great perfection stage, and it made him feel very uncomfortable. "Is it important who I am?" Si Kongming smiled and said. Yang Shang frowned and said, "It's impossible for there to be such an expert in the mortal world. Senior, please tell me." "Marshal, have you heard of the sky beyond heaven?" "What? You're someone from the sky beyond heaven?" "Yes." Si Kongming stroked his white beard and smiled. "At least 200 years ago." "What do you mean?" Si Kongming's gaze was gentle as he smiled. "Because I had already ascended to the sky beyond heaven more than 3,000 years ago. There are only legends about me in the mortal world, but I have long since left the mortal world. However, 200 years ago, my son Si Konghan finally decided to give birth to the next generation, which is my granddaughter, Si Kongyao. Yao was born adorable, and has long been the apple of my eye. How could I continue to stay in the sky beyond heaven? Thus, I returned to the mortal world to teach Yao, and to protect Yao at all times to prevent any mishaps from happening." Yang Shang's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Was the Si Kongming in front of him really a god from the sky beyond heaven? Or was he just a crazy demon that protected his granddaughter? I know that Marshall will definitely not believe me, but it doesn't matter. I have always stood aloof from worldly affairs. As long as Marshall does not offend me, I will definitely not offend Marshall. That's good. Yangshang knew that he couldn't win, so he naturally wouldn't force it. He said, "Then, Senior, if a war were to break out between the Northern Heaven Realm and the Eastern and Western Divine Realms, will you be involved?" After all, a god from the sky beyond heaven wasn't simple. Yangshang couldn't help but think about it carefully. Ming smiled. "I won't except for one." "Which one?" "Do not become enemies with my granddaughter Yao. Otherwise, even if I have to risk my old bones, I will drag Marshall down to hell." Yangshang was stunned. "Junior understands. Senior, don't worry. I will definitely not become enemies with Miss Yao. Senior, please be at ease." "That's good. I will not send Marshall off. Marshall, please immediately withdraw your troops from the Tianji sect. Don't make things difficult for my disciples." "Yes, Senior. Farewell." "Forgive me for not sending you off." Creak. The wooden door opened. Ming and Yangshang walked out side by side as if they had been friends for many years. "Let's go. Withdraw from the Tianji sect's headquarters." Yangshang waved his hand and cupped his hands at Ming to bid farewell. Duo La was dumbfounded. "Marshall, are we leaving just like that?" "Shut up. Let's go." "Yes." Duo La was very unwilling, but he could only follow Yangshang and leave the Tianji sect's headquarters. Looking at the backs of Yangshang and the others, a hint of coldness flashed through Ming's eyes as he said indifferently, "Looks like the celestial pole continent isn't peaceful again. I just hope that Yao doesn't get too involved." Thinking of this, Ming said in a low voice, "Guards." A high-ranking disciple quickly walked over. "Sect Master, please give your orders." "Pass down my order." "Immediately start moving the Tianji sect's headquarters." "Ah, headquarters moving? Where?" "To Shiping City, of course. Yao is there. But moving is no small matter. Sect Master, please think twice before you act." "I told you to move. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" "Yes, move. Half a month later, Yangshang's Protoss army swept through the entire Tianji Empire, turning it into his territory. However, he didn't touch the Xishan and Huiyuan provinces. After all, those were the territory of Yao's by Zhe mercenaries. Yangshang wasn't stupid enough to go against Yao. Thinking of Ming's power, Yangshang couldn't help but feel at a loss. Ming had to be removed, but not now. At the very least, he had to wait until God Wang Dongming personally descended before he could consider it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have full confidence at all. On the 22nd day of the 7th lunar month, Yangshang's army bypassed the Huiyuan and Xishan provinces and attacked the Blackstone Empire. Within 3 days, they captured Thousand Mountain City. The entire Blackstone Empire was shocked. Emperor Shi Yuan led his army eastward to seek refuge in the Red Cliff province. On the 27th day, Shi Yuan's 200,000 Blackstone Empire soldiers arrived at Red Cliff City. Banners fluttered in the wind. Everyone was exhausted. Their pursuers were about to catch up. "Open the gates." A messenger raised the royal flag and shouted, "Open the gates. His Majesty is here." The guards on the walls were stunned, but no one opened the gates. Whoosh! A cold arrow was shot into the city, piercing through the walls and killing the messenger. At this time, a martial artist walked out from the walls. It was the Valley Lord of Wolf Valley, Song. He raised his voice and said, "Red Cliff City is small and cannot accommodate 200,000 soldiers. Your Majesty, please arrange a formation outside the city to face the enemy. The people of Wolf Valley will soon leave the city and attack the enemy from the left and right. Your Majesty, please rest assured. We will definitely inflict heavy losses on the enemy." Inside the tent, Shi Yuan cursed loudly, but it was to no avail. Half a day later, Yangshang's celestial race army arrived. Blood flowed like a river outside Red Cliff City. Shi Yuan's 200,000 soldiers were unable to stop the enemy. In just one day, the majority of the 200,000 soldiers had either been killed or had fled. There were less than a few thousand soldiers by Shi Yuan's side. The situation was dire. It's over, it's all over. Shi Yuan raised his blood-stained longsword and said, "The Blackstone Empire is finished. Yisong betrayed me. Longxi has disappeared without a trace. Our 1,000-year foundation has been destroyed. Forget it, forget it. Your Majesty, we cannot give up." Several generals pleaded, "Your Majesty, please give us the decree. We are willing to fight the enemy again." "There is no need. I am leaving." Shi Yuan rushed into the sky and muttered some incantations. In the blink of an eye, the gate of heaven opened. Shi Yuan turned into a ray of light and flew towards the western divine realm. When his empire fell, Shi Yuan directly ascended. In the evening, Yisong led the 100,000 soldiers of Wolf Valley out of the city and surrendered to Yangshang. Chapter 1079. 45 days in the mortal world, but more than a year had passed in the ancient mystery land. In the devouring heaven domain of the Middle Land, there was a primeval forest 30 miles east of the domain castle. Wild beasts ran amok, and few people were there. However, the morning dew and the evening glow, and the spiritual power rippled, making it an excellent place for cultivation. For more than a year, Lin Muyu had been cultivating here. She had already broken through 90 grotto heavens and stepped into a whole new realm. Her strength had increased by more than 2 times. Bang! Amidst the loud noise, a figure fell from the sky and into the forest. The heavy impact created a cloud of dust. "I don't accept this." In the mess, the person slowly stood up. It was Situ Yin Gonggong's son Go Long, who had been subdued. He brushed off the dust on his body and said angrily, "Leader said that she wouldn't use the power of the immortal golden body, but she said that she used it just now." In the sky, Lin Muyu stood in the wind and said with a smile, "I didn't want to, but you are too strong." "No, I want to fight again." Go Long was born arrogant and didn't want to admit defeat. His personality was completely different from the 4 great witches, but it was this unwillingness to admit defeat that made his cultivation so profound that he was above the 4 great witches. It was also because of this that Lin Muyu chose Go Long as her opponent. Only a strong opponent could stimulate her strong potential. However, Lin Muyu's strength had improved too quickly over the past year. She had broken through from the 87th Grotto Heaven stage to the 90th Grotto Heaven stage, and her strength had undergone a qualitative leap. The strength of her divine power had nearly doubled, causing Go Long, who was initially confident of winning, to be at a disadvantage. A year ago, Go Long was still on par with Lin Muyu, but now, he was losing more than he was winning. Especially in recent times, Go Long had never won a single match. "How dare you?" On the crown of a distant tree, Go Long was lying on it. He frowned and said, "The leader is stronger than you. Why are you not convinced? Even if you use your strongest 9th attack, you still won't be a match for the leader. Why are you still not convinced?" Zhu Long gritted his teeth. "I don't care, I just can't accept this. Leader, please be the judge." The shapeless elephant technique is a secret technique of the realm beyond heavens. It's vigorous and surging. You have a huge advantage, so it's normal that I can't win. So, what do you want? Lin Muyu squinted her eyes and smiled. Unless the leader is willing to teach me the formless elephant spell and the star spell, I will never be convinced. Look at how useless you are." Gomong flew into a rage from afar, and almost cursed it out loud. Lin Muyu laughed and said, "Go Long, are you finally willing to submit to the leader of the Juli tribe? If you are willing, then I will consider teaching you the first level of the formless elephant spell." Go Long was stunned. After a few seconds, he knelt on both knees and said, "Go Long." Go Long greets the leader. Go Long will be loyal to the leader for the rest of my life. I also hope that the leader will not be stingy and teach me the martial arts technique of the realm beyond heavens. This was the first time Go Long had officially acknowledged Lin Muyu as his master. It was truly rare. The corner of Lin Muyu's mouth rose. She said, Good. Get up first." "Yes, the leader is willing to teach me the formless elephant spell?" Go Long was overjoyed. Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, The formless elephant spell is a secret technique that Celestial Emperor Fuxi taught me. Without his permission, I can't teach you everything. So, I can only teach you the first level of the formless elephant spell. When I meet Celestial Emperor Fuxi in the future and get his permission, I will teach you everything I know. What do you think? Golong nodded repeatedly. Good. It's worth it to be able to see its profundity. Thank you, leader. Sit down and remember the chant. Yes. Just like that, Lin Muyu started teaching Golong the martial technique. Gomong, who was beside her, stretched and went back to sleep. Gomong had always been an ancestral wizard who stood aloof from worldly affairs. He didn't care about secret techniques. His heavenly Tao was something that Xiaoyao had stumbled upon unintentionally. He definitely didn't want to seek for anything. Instead, he was somewhat similar to Chu Chu. When the sun was setting, a powerful aura rushed over. It was Tang Xiaoxi, who had delivered the meal. The bamboo basket was filled with dishes, and the aroma assailed everyone's nostrils. Lin Muyu flew over and said with a smile, Xiaoxi, you're here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Are you not going back tonight? Tang Xiaoxi asked unhappily. Yes. I want to comprehend the power of the 9th reincarnation cycle of the star incantation as soon as possible. This will take some time, and I need to concentrate. Once I go back, I'll put all my attention on you and Xiaoyin. I won't be able to concentrate on my cultivation. It's because you two are so beautiful. Her words made Tang Xiaoxi happy. Humph, you're such a sweet talker. Tang Xiaoxi took out the bowls and plates and placed them on a smooth stone. She said, Mu sister Xiyan might leave the 64 domains in advance after some time. What's wrong? Lin Muyu was surprised. In the past year, she has almost cultivated to the perfection realm. A few days ago, she returned to the 99 heavenly caves. Moreover, there's nothing in the 64 domains that needs her. So, Sister Xian plans to return to the Broken Cauldron realm first and wait for us there. Moreover, Sister Xian left the Western Divine Realm because she was tired of killing and conquering. In the end, you dragged her into the chaos of the 64 domains again. Lin Muyu felt a little guilty. Yes, that's because we needed her power too much previously. But it's different now. You, me, and Xiaoyin's power is enough to deal with any situation. However, why did Sister Xian return to the Broken Cauldron realm alone? She said, she wants to build a wooden house in the mountains, circle a grassland, raise a few rabbits, pick peach blossoms in spring, peach blossoms in summer, plum blossoms in winter, and chrysanthemums in autumn. Anyway, that's what she said. Lin Muyu looked forward to it. She said, this kind of peaceful life is really enviable. If that's the case, after we end the war between the Broken Cauldron realm and the Immortal realm, you, me, and Xiaoyin will build a wooden house next to Sister Xian's. We'll raise a bunch of rabbits and live a peaceful life. What do you think? Okay. Tang Xiaoxi's eyes were full of little stars. Gomong and Golong were both dumbfounded. Golong said, there are many kinds of relationships in the mortal world. Leader is really good at picking up girls. Gomong smiled faintly. Do you think the formless elephant art is the only thing you need to learn from Leader? You can learn it slowly. It's enough for you to use for the rest of your life. Golong grinned. But uncle, we are gods. We are existences that have eliminated the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Nonsense, Gomong said. Even gods can be lonely and lonely. Don't you envy Leader and Miss Xiaoxi and Xiaoyin for being immortal companions? Well, I do. That's why I said you need to learn more. Look at what you've done in the past. You have 64 concubines in the heaven-devouring realm. But did any of them treat you sincerely? Definitely not. I've never treated them sincerely. Forget it, I can't explain it to you. Gomong walked forward, picked up his chopsticks and sat opposite Lin Muyu. As they ate, he asked, Miss Xiaoxi, how's the preparation of the Dragon League's troops? Tang Xiaoxi blinked and smiled. Senior, don't worry. The reorganization is basically complete. There are more than 60,142 immortal state experts. They are divided into 4 big legions. Each legion has 15,000 people. They are led by Feng Zhanlin, Nangong Lai, Murong Tianxing, and Zhulong respectively. So Senior Gomang, you're free now. That's great. Gomang smiled. What does leader plan to do with the 60,000 celestial race troops? Quell the chaos in the 4 great divine realms. Lin Muyu's voice was very calm. She said, the Northern Divine Realm and Western Divine Realm have ulterior motives. The Demon Emperor is alone, so I have to help him turn the tide. And to be honest, Big Brother Demon Emperor has fought for so many years and built up the reputation of the Eastern Heaven. But the more he fights, the less his strength is. In terms of personal strength and prestige, Big Brother Demon Emperor is the strongest in the 4 great divine realms. But in terms of war and strategy, he can only be considered. As he said that, he raised his pinky. Zhu Long and Gomang burst into laughter. There was probably no one in the entire Eastern Divine Realm who would dare to say such things about the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. Only Lin Muyu could. After the meal, Lin Muyu stood up majestically. Zhu Long, prepare to continue training. Yes, leader. Tang Xiaoxi watched from the side with a smile. She also wanted to know what realm Lin Muyu's cultivation had reached. And Lin Muyu already had a plan in mind. There was still 1 year left in the 64 domains. During this time, she had to continue making breakthroughs and reach at least the 95th level of the Grotto Heaven realm. That way, with the 3 great advantages of the Supreme Godhead, Formless Elephant Art, and Immortal Golden Body, even experts at the peak of the 99th level of the Grotto Heaven realm might not be able to do anything to her. Meanwhile, in the Celestial Pole continent, Shao Pass, an important boundary between the Celestial Empire and the Blackstone Empire. This pass was guarded by 50,000 troops from the Celestial Empire. In addition, both sides had stationed nearly 200,000 troops on the east and west sides of Shao Pass. At dusk, the cold wind swept through the pass, blowing the sound of ghosts crying and wolves howling. A general dressed in golden armor stood tall and lofty as he stared at the west side of Shao Pass with a profound gaze. There was a person riding on a horse that was leaving a trail of dust in his wake. He held the war flag of the Northern God Realm in his hand, and there was an image of a snow bear on the war flag. It was the unique symbol of Dongming's family. They're here, the general said shakily. Within a month, they destroyed the Tianji Empire and the Blackstone Empire. Now it's finally our turn. The general on the side turned pale. Your Highness Dongqing Wang, are we going to fight or make peace? Act according to the situation. Yes. At this time, the envoy stopped and said loudly, people of Shao Pass, who has the final say? Dongqing Wang jumped up and stood on the battlement. He said majestically, me. Who are you? Dongqing Wang, the monarch's uncle. Oh, it's Your Highness Dongqing Wang. My apologies. The envoy laughed. His Majesty Chen Yu actually sent Your Highness to guard Shao Pass. He really thinks highly of our Northern Divine Realm. Chapter 1080. Dongqing Wang narrowed his eyes. The cold wind made his cloak dance wildly. He said, I don't know what Marshal Yangshang is going to do. By right, you should have rested in Red Rock City. The envoy chuckled. Thank you for your understanding, Your Highness. Our army has indeed rested, and the Marshal also knows that the Celestial Empire is the strongest of the 3 empires in the Celestial Pole continent. Not only does it have 800,000 soldiers, but it also has the support of the Thunder Spirit tribe. However, our Marshal said that Shao Pass is required to surrender before dawn tomorrow. Otherwise, the heavenly soldiers of the Northern Divine Realm will definitely flatten Shao Pass, leaving no one alive. Leave no one alive. Dongqing Wang couldn't help but laugh out loud. Yangshang is indeed a god. His tone is really big, and he's not afraid that the wind will cut his tongue. Go back and tell Yangshang that Shaoguan is right here. If he wants to destroy Shaoguan, he can do it. I, Chen Lu, will be waiting for his God clan army here. Stubborn fool. If you want to die, no one can save you. Just wait and see. The envoy spurred his horse and left. Your Highness. The garrison general's face was pale. He said, how can we fight like this? Dongqing Wang looked into the distance and didn't say anything. Your Highness, tell me, why did you provoke him? The garrison general frowned. Next to him, More than a dozen generals also looked at Dong Qingwang. Dong Qingwang sighed and said, "I've arranged a lot of spies in Hongyan City." According to the information they provided, Yang Shang lost nearly 700 deities in the dozens of battles when he occupied the empire of Tianji. Later, he killed Shi Yuan's 200,000 elite soldiers outside Hongyan City. Although it looked like he was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, in fact, more than 1,700 of Yang Shang's 10,000 advanced troops were killed, and more than 2,000 were injured. There are less than 8,000 advanced troops in Hongyan City, and more than 2,000 of them are injured. As he spoke, Dong Qingwang looked at the crowd solemnly and said, "His Majesty Chen Yu has led 200,000 troops from the imperial capital. We have 50,000 soldiers in Xiao Pass, and there are 200,000 elites of Tianjua army in the east of Xiao Pass. You should also know that the gods under Yang Shang's command are not omnipotent. The devil heart arrow can penetrate their bodies, and the magic crystal cannons of Broken Cauldron World can shatter their protective upstanding qi. They are actually the same as us. They will die when their energy is exhausted. His Majesty will arrive in 3 days. If we can consume half of Yang Shang's troops in these 3 days, by the time His Majesty arrives, we can join forces with the elites of the Leihun tribe, and we will definitely be able to destroy Yang Shang's army." Dong Qingwang's eyes were burning, and he said, "Gods are not invincible. They have always been so, as long as we are sincere and loyal to protect the country." He suddenly pulled out his sword, raised the blade high, and said, "I, Chen Lu, am deeply indebted to the Emperor, and I love the home behind me. I would rather die in battle than be a slave." Everyone pulled out their weapons one after another, and shouted, "I would rather die in battle than be a slave." Before the sun set, the army of the god race had already arrived in the distance, covering the sky and the earth, shining with golden light. "Fight!" Dong Qingwang raised his blade high and shouted, "For the Empire, for the honor of the soldiers!" On the city walls, densely packed arrows, ballistae, magic crystal crossbows, and demonic heart arrows were shot into the sky, and those god realm experts also swooped down, slanting their sword chi and power of the laws among the crowd on the city walls. In a short moment, many people died in battle, and the entire city walls of Xiao Pass were still trembling, swaying, as if it would collapse at any time. "Look, that person is coming." In the air, holding the Flame Emperor saber in his hand, the person who came was Yang Shang, and Yang Shang's intention was very clear, and he rushed straight to Dong Qingwang. To capture the followers, one must first capture the leader. Once Dong Qingwang was killed, the 50,000 defending troops in the city wall would be torn apart. Who knew that Dong Qingwang knew that death was coming, but he let go and shouted, "Even if I die in battle, you must continue to fight. You are soldiers, soldiers of the Tianjua realm." 4 dragon knights suddenly took off, waving their dragon swords and dragon spears to kill Yang Shang, to cover Dong Qingwang. But how could they block? Yang Shang just gently swept across, and the 4 dragon knights were almost instantly killed, and even one of them, a god king level dragon knight, was also powerless to fight back. Die Dong Qingwang. Yang Shang's saber suddenly fell, and the scorching power of the law of fire almost evaporated everything. Dong Qingwang's body was instantly turned into ashes, and dozens of soldiers beside him were also evaporated, turning into a pile of blackened rotten bones. It was a horrible sight. "Dong Qingwang is already dead. Do you still want to resist stubbornly?" Yang Shang shouted. 100 meters away, a black magic crystal cannon was already aimed at him. Fire! Bang! The fiery red cannonball flew over with a tongue of flame, but with Yang Shang's cultivation, the trajectory of the cannonball was so slow in his eyes that he stretched out his left palm, gently opened his 5 fingers, and grasped the moving magic crystal cannon. With a slight force, the cannonball suddenly exploded. Although this kind of crude magic crystal cannon was far less powerful than the magic crystal cannon of the Broken Cauldron realm, it was still not trivial. A mushroom cloud flew up from the city wall. A group of soldiers of the Celestial Empire cheered. Killed! Killed that son of a *TCH Yang Shang. However, after the smoke dissipated, Yang Shang stood there unscathed, not even a speck of dust on his clothes. His eyes were full of anger, and he said, Stubborn idiots, kill them all. For a moment, the city was filled with killing sounds. The fire pillars of the magic crystal cannon and the flying demon heart arrows intertwined. In a flash, Xiao Pass had become a purgatory on Earth. When it was close to dawn, almost all the 50,000 defenders in Xiao Pass had died in battle, and Yangshang's celestial race army occupied Xiao Pass. But when they left Xiao Pass in the east, they saw flags fluttering in the distance and the rumbling of horse hooves. It was the cavalry of the Celestial Empire. A total of 70,000 cavalry, the most elite troops of the Celestial Empire, had arrived. At the front of the cavalry formation, Captain C, whose face was hidden in his helmet, raised his spear and shouted, "His Highness Dong Qingwang has died for his country. Warriors, it is time for His Highness to take revenge. Use the blood of the enemy to wash away the shame." The densely packed horsemen on the ground were charging over, sending shivers down people's spines. Even the celestial race soldiers of the advance guard couldn't help but feel their scalps go numb. Although the strength of the people in the mortal world was far inferior to the gods, their courage in battle seemed to be much stronger than that of the gods. What a bunch of lunatics! Yangshang narrowed his eyes and said, "But they are also a bunch of lunatics who are courting death. They want to block the wheels of the northern god realm with the arms of mortals. They are practically seeking their own deaths. Kill them, leave no one alive." A god emperor expert at the side said, "Marshal, we have just gone through a great battle, and many of the gods have already used up their strength. Are we really going to continue fighting with this bunch of lunatics? Why not? Don't forget that you are gods. Could it be that you are afraid of these mortals?" Yangshang's gaze turned cold, and no one dared to look him in the eye. "Yes, we will charge immediately." The fierce battle lasted for an entire day, and when the sun rose again, the mountains and plains were littered with corpses. The people of the Heaven End army had indeed gone mad. The 70,000 cavalry had finished their battle, and the 30,000 archers had stepped forward, followed by the 50,000 heavy infantry, pikemen, and chariot soldiers. A total of 200,000 troops, and less than a tenth of them had escaped. The entire mountain forest was filled with corpses, and the flags of the Heaven End army could be seen everywhere. The stench of blood was incomparably thick. Yangshang's eyes were bloodshot, and the Flame Emperor blade was stained with blood. It was unknown how many people had died under his blade on this day. But Yangshang also saw the corpses of the advance guard, and there were many of them. Count the number of people. Yangshang slowly sat on a rock and wiped the blood off his blade on the wild grass. More than 3,200 people have died, and more than 2,000 are injured. A bunch of trash. Yangshang roared angrily. The god general was so scared that his face turned pale, and he said, "Marshal, it is not that we are useless, but that the army of the mortal realm is too powerful. Their arrows and cannons seem to be able to restrain our divine power. Moreover, there are many god-level people in this army, and they have caused us a lot of trouble." At this moment, Dora descended from the sky, panting, and said, "Another army is coming from the north, 15 kilometers away. It is the army led by the Emperor of the Celestial Empire, Chen Yu. There are more than 200,000 people. And there are also some people from the mutated race. They seem to be very powerful, and there are no less than 500 god-level experts. Marshal, let's retreat. Everyone is exhausted, and once the enemy's people arrive, we won't be able to leave even if we want to." "No, we won't leave." Yangshang's gaze was fierce, and he said, "Why should I leave?" Dora was stunned. The god generals were also dumbfounded. Yangshang smiled faintly and said, "Since Chen Yu wants to fight it out with me, then how can I disappoint him? If I don't kill all of Chen Yu's people, how can the Emperor of the mortal realm submit to me?" Dora didn't say anything, and just stood quietly at the side. She knew that although Yangshang was arbitrary and conceited, he wouldn't send himself to a dead end. At noon, the majestic main force of the Celestial Empire finally arrived at the foot of the mountain. The entire plain was filled with their people, and they blocked out the sun. In contrast, there were less than 5,000 people left in the vanguard army, and they seemed very weak. The war drums and bugles sounded, and Chen Yu immediately gave the order to attack. Speed was the most important thing in war, And he was indeed very fast. He was so fast that Yangshang's vanguard army didn't even have a chance to catch their breath. Yangshang raised his Emperor Yan's saber and soared into the sky. He stepped on a white cloud and looked at the army on the ground. He laughed loudly. Do you think you can destroy the deity race's army like this? Do you think that I, Yangshang, still have 10,000 gods under my command? Ha ha ha. Chen Yu, since you've come to die, how can I not send you on your way? Come, experience the vast heavenly might of the northern god realm. As he spoke, he raised the Emperor Yan's blade. Flames surged and spun rapidly into the sky. In an instant, it broke through the heavenly gate. Suddenly, beams of light fell from the sky and crashed into the ground. They were like meteors, crashing toward the heavenly Ju Empire's army. This time, the northern god realm sent even more troops, a total of 50,000. Calamity. This was definitely a calamity for the Celestial Empire, as well as a deep sense of helplessness and despair. Chapter 1081. Even though the Celestial Empire was vast, it only took the 50,000 Protoss army a month to conquer the entire territory of the Celestial Empire. 14 provinces all submitted to Yangshang. On the 27th day of the 8th month, under the support of Baiming Yuan and Chen Yu, Yangshang ascended the throne in the Celestial Pole continent and called himself Emperor Shang. He named the country Shang and named it Shang. It was called Shang and was called Great Shang. It stood as an equal to the Qin Empire on the other side of the ocean. The Great Shang had more than 1.5 million human soldiers and nearly 60,000 Protoss soldiers. The military power was jointly controlled by Yangshang and Dora. Yangshang knew how to make good use of people. He appointed Chen Yu and Baiming Yuan as the left and right prime ministers to govern the fertile land of the Great Shang. A month passed in the mortal world, and another year passed in the 64 domains. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi's cultivation had improved a lot. Among them, Lin Muyu had reached the 95th heavenly abode, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi had reached the 90th heavenly abode on the same day. The three of them had reached a level where they could rule a region. Today was a big day for the 64 domains. Xiao's oracle from the Eastern Divine Realm had arrived. At noon today, she would use the Northern Heavenly Wheel to open the enchantment above the Devouring Heaven Domain's castle and connect it to the realm of the gods. This would last for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. This way, Lin Muyu would be able to lead the 60,000 Protoss army out of the prehistoric secret realm. The weather was scorching hot, and the sun was scorching the earth. The sky above the domain castle was filled with people. The 60,000 people of the Dragon League had come out in full strength. Even Luo Tianji would be brought along with them to the divine realm to enjoy eternal life. Lin Muyu had changed into a brand new white robe. This was the white robe that she wore in the Shattered Cauldron realm. There was even a purple flower embroidered by Qin Yin on it. So many years had passed. Everything had changed, but Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were still by her side. Lin Muyu's feelings for them had never changed. This was probably the rarest thing in the world. The enchantment will be opened soon. Qin Yin looked at the sky. There was a glimmer of hope on her snow-white face. She smiled and said, "We have been in the 64 domains for more than 3 years. I really don't know how the outside world has changed." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile and said, "It has only been 3 months outside. How much can change? Xiaoyin, don't expect too much." Qin Yin smiled. Tang Xiaoxi said, "We can finally return to the Shattered Cauldron realm. However, the three of us are already consummate god emperors. General Feng, Sister Chu Yao, and Ouyang Yan probably haven't improved much." "This feeling is really..." Lin Muyu looked at her gently and said, "That's why we should protect them even more. If there's a chance, we'll send Big Brother Feng, Sister Chu Yao, and the others into the 64 domains to cultivate for a period of time. After all, the people left in the 64 domains are all our people." Yes. The Dragon League left nearly 1,000 gods to govern the 64 domains. Their loyalty was not a problem. Just at this moment, the wind and clouds in the sky suddenly changed. Rays of purple clouds appeared in the sky. Amidst the hissing sounds, strands of light blossomed, as if a door had been opened. Faintly, a graceful heavenly sound could be heard. The door to the eastern heaven realm had already been opened. This was the effect of the northern region's Tianluan and Ziyao's divine power. Lin Muyu raised her voice and said, "Go, the eastern divine realm is waiting for us. Brothers of the Dragon League, let's go." "Haha, let's go." Feng Zhanlin and Nangonglai laughed. They took the lead and rushed into the gate of heaven. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from the 64 domains. The rest of the people also flew over. For a moment it was very spectacular. It was as if countless meteors had crashed into a wormhole. It was beautiful and breathtaking. In less than the time it took to burn half an incense stick, the 60,000 Dragon League troops had all entered the passage. Lin Muyu immediately held Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's small hands in each hand, and rushed into the gate of heaven. Their bodies suddenly entered the speed of light. They sped along the plain passage. Countless stars around them quickly receded. About 5 minutes later, the ground in front of them suddenly brightened. The three of them had already appeared in the territory of the Eastern Heaven Realm. In front of them, the densely packed Dragon League troops covered the sky. Not far away, there was a huge golden rock that soared into the sky. It was the Holy Book of the Eastern Divine Realm. All the gods who entered the Eastern Divine Realm would have their name and godhead displayed on the Holy Book. Otherwise, even if they were to sneak in, they would be expelled very quickly. Not far away, a few rays of light flew over. It was the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor with Ziyao, Sun Feng, Qingping, and the other gods. When he saw Lin Muyu, the Demon Emperor immediately opened his arms and hugged him. It was as if they had reunited after a long time. The group of gods behind the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor said respectfully, "Greetings, Lin General." Lin Muyu still had the dignity of the Marshal of the Left Army. "You have been in the ancient mystery realm for 3 years, right? Good lad, you're much stronger now." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor patted Lin Muyu's arm with great force. Godly power burst forth. Good lad, it was all thanks to Lin Muyu. If it were anyone else, they might not have been able to withstand 30% of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's strength. It seemed like the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor also wanted to test the extent of Lin Muyu's strength. However, Lin Muyu did not budge. His aura was extremely steady. His entire person was like a mountain. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's several pats only hit Lin Muyu's protective energy barrier. It did not budge at all. "You're that strong." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was shocked. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. "Big brother, it's very simple if you want to test my martial arts. Let's each use 50% of our strength and fight first appearance of the stars." "Okay." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was overflowing with excitement. He suddenly shouted, and a bright light appeared in his palm. It was first appearance of the stars. Although he did not learn the star technique, with the Demon Emperor's talent, he understood everything after watching Lin Muyu practice it a few times. His proficiency in first appearance of the stars was not any lower than Lin Muyu's. Buzz buzz. Lin Muyu also opened her right hand, and a bright light appeared in her palm. A strong wind blew, and her cloak fluttered. Her aura was not inferior to the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor at all. She blasted it out in a straight line. Everyone retreated. Even Ziyao, Qin Yin, and other gods with extremely high cultivation retreated tens of meters to avoid being affected. There was no need to mention the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's cultivation. He was originally one of the top figures in the 3 realms. Now that Lin Muyu had cultivated 95 grotto heavens, her strength could not be underestimated either. She was no longer the young boy from before. Boom! The airflow caused by the explosion was so strong that many weaker gods were blown to the side. This attack was just a small test by the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Lin Muyu. The 2 figures collided and separated. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor slightly opened his palm, and a circular mist evaporated around his 5 fingers. He could not help but say in surprise, "Good lad, you actually fought on par with me?" Lin Muyu shook her head. "It's not a fight on par, it's still a level lower. My arm is so numb from the shock." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor waved his hand and smiled. Actually, I'm numb too, but I'm the master of the celestial realm. I have to hold it up. Lin Wuyu looked at him in disdain. Have you prepared a welcoming banquet for us tonight? Of course, we can drink for 3 days and 3 nights. The banquet will not stop. I've already ordered all the resources of the Eastern Divine Realm to be brought out. In order to gather all kinds of delicacies, I've already ordered the divine servants who prepared the banquet to go to the mortal world to look for ingredients. We can eat the delicacies of the spiritual realm, Great Wheel Realm, Luoqian Realm, and other realms today. That's great. Tang Xiaoxi, who was beside Lin Wuyu, could not help but laugh out loud. The 7 luminaries demon emperor stretched his head to look at Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin. He lowered his voice and laughed. Brat, why haven't you taken down the 2 peerless beauties Xiao Yin and Xiao Shi? Don't be too arrogant. Be careful, there are many handsome gods in the Eastern Divine Realm. Lin Wuyu was speechless. Didn't you also not take down Sister Xiao? You weakling, you really don't know how to chat. Let's go to the banquet. Lin Wuyu looked at the sky. It was almost dusk in the celestial realm. Coincidentally, she did not have anything to eat in the 64 domains. She could eat to her heart's content in the celestial realm. The spirited mountain where the 7 luminaries demon emperor resided was enshrouded in celestial qi. It was very gorgeous. Banquets were set up from the main hall all the way to the altar. This banquet needed to entertain at least 100,000 godly state experts. One could imagine how luxurious it was. Lin Wuyu, Qin Yin, and the others were arranged to sit in the main hall, which was naturally the place closest to Jizun. What the Northern Heaven Realm is involved. When she heard about Yangshang, Lin Wuyu could not help but stand up from her seat. Her expression changed drastically. Don't get too excited. The 7 luminaries demon emperor said. A mere Yangshang won't amount to much. Furthermore, he will not make a move against the Shattered Cauldron realm for the time being. He will at least wait until his army has finished reorganizing. How many days does a god need to rest? Lin Wuyu frowned and said. No, I'm worried. It's too dangerous for Big Brother Feng, Big Sister Chu Yao, and the others to stay in the Shattered Cauldron realm. If Yangshang really makes up his mind to assassinate them in the Shattered Cauldron realm, I'm afraid that Big Brother Feng, Big Sister Chu Yao, and Ouyangshang won't be able to stop Yangshang. That's right, they won't be able to stop him. But don't worry. The 7 luminaries demon emperor pointed to the illusory pool not far away and said, That's the illusory pool of the heaven realm. You can see everything in the mortal realm. I have arranged a group of people to keep an eye on Yangshang. As long as he acts rashly, I will be able to detect it. Don't worry, Yangshang is currently busy holding his ascension ceremony in Tianji City. Ascension ceremony? Lin Wuyu was finally relieved. She sat down again and said, Yangshang is going to be the emperor? That's right. The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised the corner of his mouth. This guy isn't satisfied being a marshal in the celestial realm. He wants to taste the taste of power. So after he unified the celestial pole continent, he called himself Emperor Shang, and became the local emperor of the entire celestial pole continent. According to the information we have gathered, it seems that the northern divine King Dongming has let him be. He doesn't want to care about Yangshang's misdeeds in the mortal realm. Lin Wuyu said, Then I'm going to the Shattered Cauldron realm to play with Yangshang. Don't underestimate the enemy, Big Rain. Xiao said, Yangshang's strength is not bad. You may not have the confidence to win. Moreover, he still has the 60,000 celestial realm army. You can't underestimate him. Also, Yangshang still has 20,000 reserve troops in the celestial realm. So, we need to think about it carefully and not underestimate the enemy. Sister Xiao, don't worry. The cards in my hand are not as simple as the 60,000 celestial realm army in the Dragon League. The 7 luminaries demon emperor, Xiao Sunfeng, and the others' mouths formed an O shape in unison. Chapter 1082. Tell me, what other trump cards do you have? The 7 luminaries demon emperor asked. Lin Wuyu curled her lips. Gomeng, tell the demon emperor. Yes, leader. Gomang stood up and said respectfully, "Your Majesty, Lin General is now the great leader of the Juli tribe. Other than the 60,000 Dragon League soldiers, there are also 8,000 Xingtian soldiers. These soldiers ride on undying phoenixes and are extremely powerful. They are hidden in the Immortal Mountain. In addition, there are 30,000 Immortal Gonggong Navy soldiers hidden in the primordial waters. These 30,000 Gonggong Navy soldiers are the kings of the water, and can be said to be the strongest navy in the 3 realms." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor touched his chin and said, "Although I don't know what kind of army they are, they sound very powerful. Can you subdue them?" "Yes, I have the star stone left behind by Chiyu. That is the signal arrow to command the heavenly army and the navy." "Great!" The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was excited. "Including these troops, Yu has a divine realm army of 100,000 soldiers. Even if Yangshang mobilizes all his troops, he may not be a match for Yu. This way, you can unify the Shattered Cauldron realm while I watch from the sidelines. If Dongming reinforcements, I will too. This time we can play with the Northern Divine Realm." Lin Wuyu nodded. "But I have to reclaim these troops first." "What are you going to do?" the Demon Emperor asked. Lin Wuyu said without hesitation, "There's no time to lose. After the banquet, I will send the 4 great witches with 60,000 Dragon League soldiers to the Shattered Cauldron realm to protect Lanyan City. With the 4 great witches there, Yangshang can't do anything to Brother Feng and Sister Xiao. I will go to the Immortal Mountain myself and find the 8,000 Xingtian soldiers. I will bring them to the Shattered Cauldron realm and teleport to Earth to find the 30,000 Gonggong Navy soldiers." That's good too. Come, let's drink first. We haven't seen each other for so long, let's at least enjoy this meal. Alright. In the end, they drank until they were drunk. Even when it was late at night, the spiritual mountain was still brightly lit. The prosperity of the Eastern Divine Realm almost dazzled the gods of the 64 domains. After being listed in the Divine Book, the Divine Realm still gave them eternal life. What they had to do next was to contribute their strength to Lin Wuyu, Lin General, and fight for a place in the mortal world. In the end, they decided to go to the Shattered Cauldron realm the next day. Meanwhile, Lin Wuyu brought the 4 great witches to the Immortal Mountain to look for Xingtian's heavenly army. "Leader, is your body okay?" Gomang looked worried. Lin Wuyu knew what he was referring to. She smiled slightly and spread out her 5 fingers. Immediately, streaks of purple flames appeared and evaporated all of the alcohol in the air. Her entire being became spirited as well. "Let's go to the Immortal Mountain." Yes. Qinin, Tang Xiaoxi, Demon Emperor, Xiao and others also went with them. They also wanted to see how powerful Xingtian was. They flew over the mountains and saw that the star world under the jurisdiction of the Eastern Divine Realm was like a dazzling gemstone. This was a gift from the universe. Under Ziyao's lead, they soon flew to the top of a spiritual mountain that was shrouded in dark light. "This is the Immortal Mountain." Xiao pursed her red lips and said, "Below the Immortal Mountain is the Immortal Spring. It is said that the source of eternal life of the Eastern Divine Realm is here. However, no one knows what Xingtian's heavenly army is hiding in the Immortal Mountain. I don't know if it is true or not. We will know once we go and take a look." Lin Wuyu was the first to dive down. Sure enough, the spiritual mountain was very ordinary. There was only a gurgling immortal spring on the dark mountain, which added a bit of scenery. Everyone looked everywhere, but they didn't find the slightest trace of it. Could it be that the legend is fake? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor muttered to himself. "It can't be, it definitely can't be." Zhulong hurriedly shook his head and said, "Xingtian's heavenly army was once the pride of the Juli tribe. It definitely won't disappear just like that. The ancestral god told us that the Xingtian's heavenly army is hidden here, so it can't be wrong. The ancestral god wouldn't lie to us." Sun Feng, who was at the side, frowned and said, "But after so many years, generations of gods have fallen. Even Chiyu ended up with his soul scattered. That Xingtian's heavenly army might have been wiped out at some point, right?" "What are you talking about?" Zhulong suddenly grabbed Sun Feng's collar. What kind of person was Sun Feng? He was one of the 2 great marshals of the Eastern Divine Realm, and a 99th level heavenly passage expert. With just a light shake, he broke free from Zhulong's grasp. With an indifferent gaze he said, "You control your people. They are too rough." Lin Muyu could empathize with Zhulong's feelings. She only faintly smiled and said, "Sun Feng, please be more understanding. Also, don't speak nonsense. I also believe that Xing Tian's heavenly army won't be wiped out. But this immortal mountain is barren. Apart from the immortal spring, there is nothing else. Where would Xing Tian's heavenly army be hiding?" Qingping said with a frown. "The immortal spring. That's right, the immortal spring." Gomang's eyes lit up. Xing Tian's heavenly army has 8,000 phoenix mounts. They should be raised high up, but they are easily discovered and killed. It must be the immortal spring. They are hiding under the immortal spring. Is that so? Let's go in and take a look. The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised his hand, and the cold water of the immortal spring immediately parted to form a passage. It was an understatement, but it was enough to show how proficient he was in controlling the laws. It was likely that any of the 7 luminaries demon emperor's laws were not inferior to those of the main gods. He had already displayed the power of his supreme personality to the fullest, and this was also something that Lin Muyu was slightly lacking in. Amidst the gurgling sounds of water, everyone flew to the bottom of the cold pond. Immediately, the surroundings were filled with a chill. Lin Muyu pulled out the Xianyuan sword, illuminating everything around them. As expected, there was a cave at the bottom of the cold pond. After passing through the cave, there was another world. There was actually another world in the depths of the Spirit Mountain. There was a temple-like building in the surroundings, with towering stone pillars erected all around. The totem patterns carved on the pillars were in the shape of cow heads. "This is the place." Everyone flew inside. Gomang couldn't help but laugh loudly. "This is our clan's totem. Xing Tian's army must be hiding here. Quickly find out where they are." Yes. Everyone searched around, but found that the entire stone cave was empty. There was nothing except for the buildings and the totem. Impossible. Where did they go? Gomang was a little disappointed. Qin Yin raised the East Flower sword and floated between the caves. Her gaze fell on the cave. There were protruding lumps there, like stalactites formed by water droplets, but it didn't look like it. It was more like something that had been chiseled by an axe. Could they be in here? She pointed. Lin Muyu, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, and the others flew over and were stunned. There were many such lumps in the cave, and they were densely packed. This seemed to be the only explanation. Break one open and see. Yes. Zhulong waved his sword and split open a stone block. Suddenly, they saw a huge stone statue inside. It was an ancient warrior, riding on a phoenix, holding a huge stone axe in his hand, and looking serene. Why is it a stone? The 7 luminaries demon emperor frowned and said, "Could it be that after hiding here for millions of years, they have become petrified?" Impossible. Gomang was a little upset and said, "They are the army of the celestial race. After so many years, they will only become stronger. It's impossible for them to become stone." It's impossible." Tang Xiaoxi held Lin Muyu's arm and said, "Mu, why don't you try using the star stone? Didn't you say the star stone is the token to command them? If they don't see the star stone, I'm afraid they won't dare to wake up, right?" "Yes." Lin Muyu nodded and took out the star stone from her Qianquan bag. Instantly, the gem blossomed with brilliant light in the cave. Swoosh! The light rippled like water, and in the blink of an eye, it swept across the entire cave. Instantly, the stones that were stuck to the cave bulged and cracked. The moment the stones cracked, they could see the luster of golden skin. Following that, there was a dazzling flame. It was the luster of a phoenix spreading its wings. Very soon, the stones cracked one by one, and the warriors riding on the phoenix flew in the air. Their faces were filled with astonishment. It was probably because they had been sleeping for too long that they were stunned. Gomang was overjoyed. He held the Gomang saber and summoned 2 white dragons. He laughed majestically and said, "Xing Tian's slaves, do you still remember me?" All the warriors looked at him, and in the blink of an eye, everyone revealed a look of reverence. Greetings to sorcerer god Gomang. They hadn't spoken for so long that they couldn't even speak clearly. Gomang smiled and said, "The one who woke you up wasn't me, but the new Lord Leader." With the star stone in hand, Lin Muyu flew forward and said, "From today onwards, you will only listen to my orders. Do you understand?" After seeing the star stone, the eyes of the Heaven Army were filled with even more reverence. They all landed on the ground and knelt down from the back of the phoenix. "Greetings to Lord Leader." "All right, return to the divine realm. There will be new orders very soon." "Yes, Lord Leader." There were exactly 8,000 Xingtian army, and what surprised Lin Muyu was that their strength was very average. Almost all of them were at the 50th Celestial King realm. Although they didn't comprehend the divine wall, with the sharp blades in their hands and the flame power of the phoenix, once they launched an attack, it would be very impressive. This night was destined to be a sleepless night in the Eastern Divine Realm. It was very lively. Many gods went to see the Xingtian army hidden in the Fountain of Youth. With this, the Divine Realm army in Lin Muyu's hands had reached 70,000. It could be said to be a powerful army. The next morning, everyone gathered on the Spirited Mountain and waited for the gate of Heaven Realm to open. They would head to the mortal realm together. This was their first mission, and perhaps the only mission that Lin Muyu directly gave them. The warm morning light bathed everyone's body. The morning light separated the starlight and quickly gathered to form a huge passage. This was the passage that Xiao opened for everyone to head to the Shattered Cauldron realm. "It can't last for long. We have to hurry," said Lin Muyu loudly. Everyone flew away in shuttles. Shattered Cauldron realm, Lanyan City. Suddenly, thousands of light rays bloomed in the sky and illuminated the whole world. Swoosh! Feng Jixing rushed out of the Imperial Army's tent and looked at the countless starlight rays falling from the sky. He couldn't help but smile and said, "You is back. Her Highness Empress is back. Someone come quickly. Old Zhang, Guanxing, we will head to the Zetian Palace immediately." Chapter 1083. Zetian Palace. The wind blew, and the clouds surged. Beams of golden light fell on every part of the palace, including the stairs, the altar, and the roof. They were everywhere, accompanied by strong gusts of wind and warm energy that spread in all directions. The palace maid screamed in fear. The royal guards pulled out their swords and lined up in a row to protect the people in the palace. Only Suyu, Ouyangyan, and the others lived in Zetian Palace. Swoosh! Suyu dashed out of the back hall and looked up at the sky. Her face was pale. "What's going on? What's going on? Is it a celestial phenomenon? Ouyangyan, say something." Ouyangyan walked over slowly with a smile. "Don't be too nervous. It's the scene of the gods descending. The fact that they can directly descend above Zetian Palace means that they understand Zetian Palace. Don't worry. They should be on our side." "On our side?" Suyu was startled and said, "Xiaoyin is back." "Most likely. That's great." Suyu was surprised. "Xiaoyin is finally home. That's great." In these 3 years, Suyu's ability to support the imperial court was truly somewhat lacking. If it wasn't for Feng Jixing, Qin Yan, Chu Yao, Xiaohan, and the others doing their best, perhaps this ownerless world would have long been torn to shreds. At that moment, the light in the sky grew brighter and brighter. Waves of power surged out and golden ripples could be seen everywhere. Figures appeared under the pillars of light. It was the Dragon Alliance and the heavenly Xingtian army. "Everyone be on guard." The commander of the royal guards and dragon guards roared. Clang, clang, clang. The blades were unsheathed, and standard longswords shining with a cold light were pointed straight at the figures. Most of the imperial guards were at the Heaven Realm, and they had a basic understanding of the power of domains. That was why the power that rippled out from the people who descended from the sky was so strong that the imperial guards felt chills run down their spines. They were all incredibly nervous. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 3 beams of light fell on the stairs in front of the palace. In the blink of an eye, 3 figures appeared in the golden light. They looked very good with their cloaks fluttering. However, the light was too bright. No one could see who they were. "Be on guard. Protect Lord Suyu." The commander of the dragon guards had already drawn his sword and bellowed, Report your name, or I'll make my move. In the face of a power that was absolutely stronger than him, he still drew his weapon. The determination and courage of this Dragon Guard commander was admirable. If it were an ordinary person, they would have had a mental breakdown. The golden light turned into starlight and slowly dispersed. A figure walked out from the light. She wore a red and white dress that wrapped around her graceful figure. Her beautiful face that was as brilliant as the stars had a refreshing smile on it. Aunt Luo, it's me, Suyu shuddered. Who else could this peerless beauty that descended from the sky be other than Qinyin? It's really Xiaoyin. Suyu's voice was trembling. She rushed forward and hugged Qinyin. Qinyin also hugged her tightly. Qinyin had almost no relatives left in this world. Suyu could be considered the closest one. The commander of the Dragon Guard stood there blankly with his sword in hand. At this moment, the light flickered and two other people walked out of the light screen. They were Lin Muyu and Qinyin. Seeing that the commander of the Dragon Guards was in a daze, Lin Muyu smiled and asked, Qin Luan, are you still going to point your sword at the Empress? Qin Luan's body trembled. He hurriedly put down his sword, knelt on one knee, and said in a deep voice, General Qin Luan pays his respects to the Empress, Lin General and Princess Shi. The group of Dragon Guards also put down their weapons and knelt down one after another. Finally, the Empress Qinyin had reappeared in the Shattered Cauldron realm. Furthermore, her strength had reached the stage of being reborn. She was no longer comparable to the previous Qinyin. Why, Ouyang, you don't recognize me anymore? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Ouyang Yan's mouth was already agape. She said, To be honest, Your Highness, even though your appearance hasn't changed, your strength has changed too much. I have always looked at people with my heart. In this case, I almost don't recognize you anymore. Lin Muyu saw through Ouyang Yan's cultivation with a glance. She had already stepped into the God Arch realm with 63 grotto heavens. She smiled and said, You haven't been idle these few months. You have stepped into the God Arch realm. Not bad, not bad. Ouyang Yan pouted and acted coquettishly. You always see through me with a glance. Cough cough, enough enough. Lin Muyu was a little embarrassed. After not seeing Ouyang Yan for so long, she still hadn't changed much. At this time, the sound of footsteps came from the direction of the palace gate. Very quickly, a few figures flew over. It was Feng Jixing, Qin Yan, Wei Chou, Situ Sun, Situ Shui, Zhang Wei and the others. They had reunited after a long time. All of their faces were filled with joy. Lin Muyu immediately rushed over and hugged everyone. Situ Sun, Wei Chou and the others laughed out loud. Actually, everyone had always been worried that something would happen to Lin Muyu when he was cultivating in the outer realm. Now that he had returned and was even more handsome, they knew that he was fine. Furthermore, his strength had increased by several folds. Big brother Feng, how have you been these few months? Lin Muyu asked. Feng Jixing chuckled, same as always. My strength hasn't increased much. I just stepped into the 40th grotto heavens not long ago. On the other hand, you are now unfathomable. What realm have you reached? Lin Muyu said. 95. Ah. Feng Jixing turned pale with fright. Then he laughed out loud. Ha 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 ha. That's great, that's really great. I was originally worried that Emperor Shang of the Celestial Pole continent would mobilize his army to the west. If that happened, none of us would be able to stop that person. It's rare that you have broken through to this realm. This is really great. Then I have nothing to be afraid of. I can have a good sleep now. As he spoke, Feng Jixing had a sorrowful look on his face. Lin Muyu knew what he was thinking. Feng Jixing was a person who had both arrogance and humility in his heart. He pursued even stronger strength, but he wouldn't rashly have killing intent. Back then, Lin Muyu and his strength were only on par, but now the disparity was too great. So much so that right now, even 10 Feng Jixing wouldn't be a match for Lin Muyu. This kind of sorrowful feeling was natural. Big brother Feng, there will be a chance. Lin Muyu patted his shoulder and said, This time, I brought back quite a lot of good things from the 64 domains. Among them are the seeds and fruits of rare spirit fruits that can increase cultivation. Don't worry, with your aptitude, You can break through to the 90th level of Grotto Heaven within a year. Moreover, you will have me to help you. Feng Jixing couldn't help but laugh. I knew that you have a conscience. You won't forget us brothers who stayed in the Shattered Cauldron realm to clean up after you. Wei Chou and Situ-sun also laughed. Lin General, don't forget us too. Don't worry, we will all have a share. Lin Muyu said. In the future, we will move unhindered in the immortal realm together. Let's not talk about it for now. Big Brother Feng, you and I Yin can arrange the accommodation for the Dragon League army. There are close to 70,000 people in total. Just arrange them in the camp. 70,000 people? Feng Jixing was stunned. Where did you find so many people? Strictly speaking, they are not people. Each of them is a god. Ah. Situ Shue's mouth opened in shock. 70,000 godly state experts? Yes. Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. If I don't have this trump card, how can I fight against Yangshang's Immortal Realm army? Feng Jixing was excited. With this Immortal Realm army, the Empire will really have the confidence. When I am not around, Big Brother Feng will be in charge of this army, Lin Muyu said. Ah. Feng Jixing was stunned. He could sense the strength of the Dragon League army. A small half of them were probably stronger than Feng Jixing. What right did he have to lead them? Lin Muyu knew what Feng Jixing was thinking. She raised her hand and said, Army leaders, come over. Immediately, the 4 army leaders of the Dragon League floated over. Feng Zhanlin, Nangong Lai Zhulong and Murong Tianxing greeted respectfully. Greetings, Lin General. Please instruct us. All 4 of them were great perfection celestial Varch experts. Feng Jixing did not speak. His eyes were filled with a deep light. These people were not easy to deal with. Lin Muyu waved her hand and said, Let me introduce him. He is the commander of the Imperial Guards, Feng Jixing. He is my big brother, and the person with the highest military authority in the Shattered Cauldron realm. From now on, when I am not around, all of you will listen to Feng Jixing's orders. Understood? The 4 of them nodded in unison. Greetings, General Feng. Feng Jixing was a little overwhelmed by the favor. Ayu, do you really think that I can control these incredible people? Of course. Lin Muyu smiled. Big Brother Feng, you are much more familiar with the Shattered Cauldron realm and the Celestial Pole continent than them. You are also better at war and strategizing than them. You don't have to decline. As she spoke, Lin Muyu said to everyone, From now on, Feng Jixing will be the deputy commander of the Dragon League army. He will have the same authority as me. Understood? Yes. Although Zhulong, Nangong Lai, Feng Zhanlin, and the others were arrogant, they knew that Lin Muyu had 2 brothers. One was the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor, and the other was Feng Jixing. Although Feng Jixing's strength was average, he was definitely outstanding. You said you are leaving? Feng Jixing finally understood something from Lin Muyu's words. Yes, I will leave after arranging everything in Lanyan City. Like I said before, I have been away from home for too long. I have not been filial to my father all these years. Now that I have gained insight into the reincarnation cycle and can travel through the largest dimensional space, it is time for me to go home and see my father and brother. Okay, I support you on this. But you have to come back as soon as possible. The Shattered Cauldron realm is still a mess. Got it? At this moment, Feng Jixing gave Qin Yan, Situ-sun, Wei Chou, and the others a look. Everyone immediately walked to Qin Yin and knelt on one knee in unison. Greetings, Your Highness Yin. Greetings, Princess Shi. General Feng, please rise. You may rise. Qin Yin had a gentle expression and smiled. Long time no see. How is everyone? We can eat and drink. Zhang Wei smiled. Everyone smiled as well. Feng Jixing walked forward with a burning gaze and said, Your Highness Yin, since you have returned, then I will bring Your Highness to see someone. It is time. Oh, Qin Yin was surprised. Chapter 1084. In the middle of the night, there was a cold dew. Huge stone tablets were erected in the wilderness, forming a forest. Under the bright moonlight, the first row of stone tablets was engraved with names. According to the order, The first one was Lin Muyu, followed by Chu Huaying, Qin Lei, Lei Hong, and the others. Lin Muyu stopped her horse and looked at her name on the nation-guarding monument. She couldn't help but feel nostalgic. It's been so many years. Qin Yin said faintly. Yes, it's been so many years. We've all persevered. Lin Muyu nodded. Brother Yu, do you regret it? Qin Yin asked. Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said in a self-deprecating manner. I only regret that I didn't tell my father about my feelings for you before he passed away. This will leave me with eternal regret. Why? Qin Yin was confused. What was I then? Lin Muyu continued to urge her horse forward. You're the only heir to the empire, and I'm just a mere royal guard. I have no backing, and my own strength is only average. I don't even know if I can survive the turbulent times, so how could I possibly bring up the matter with you to my father? I think he wouldn't agree to it then, right? Maybe. Qin Yin's eyes glowed faintly. Or maybe he would. We don't understand him. Let's go. We're almost there. Okay. Lin Muyu and Qin Yin walked in front. Tang Xiaoxi, Ouyangyan Chu Yao, Wei Chou Feng Jixing, and the others followed closely behind. The history of the empire over the past 12 years was recorded here. Everyone's youth seemed to be deeply imprinted here. They couldn't be erased or forgotten. A few rays of light shone from the stone forest in front of them. It was the people who stayed behind to guard the nation-guarding monument. A group of royal guards knelt on both sides of the road. Lin Muyu gestured for them to keep quiet, and led Qin Yin and the others to the huts. The huts were simple and even leaky. It was fine in spring, summer, and autumn. Once winter came, the cold wind would be enough to kill the people in the huts. Outside the huts, a young man was carving a piece of wood with a knife. It was probably used to fill the gaps in the huts. He was so focused on carving that he didn't notice the arrival of Lin Muyu and the others. Qin Huan. Tang Xiaoxi recognized him. Qin Huan raised his head abruptly, his face full of astonishment. He saw the people he had seen many years ago, and he even saw his cousin Qin Yin. Is that Xiao Yin? Qin Huan was nearly 40 years old and looked old, but Qin Yin still looked like a young girl in her 20s. The moment Qin Huan saw Qin Yin, he actually recalled the appearance of the time when they played together in their youth. However, Qin Yin's appearance remained in that era, while he himself had been weathered by the passage of time into this miserable and weathered appearance. It's me, cousin. Qin Yin glanced at him and said, Is second uncle inside? Yes, yes. Qin Huan hurriedly said loudly. Father. No, father, Her Highness Xiao Yin is here. Cough, cough, cough. Accompanied by violent coughing, an old figure walked out with a pine crutch. His hair was disheveled, and he was frighteningly old. Who else could it be but Qin Yi? Under the moonlight, Qin Yi saw Qin Yin and seemed to see the past. Xiao Yin. His voice was very obscure. Second uncle. Qin Yin's gaze was calm as she said, You're finally back. Xiao Yin, Qin Yin looked around, including the faint rancid smell coming from the rice pot. She frowned and said, Someone come. Your subordinate is here. Your Highness, please give me your orders. Wei Chou cupped his fists. From now on, the food here will be the standard of a second-rank marquis. Send someone to renovate the house. At least it should be livable. Yes. Qin Yin glanced at Qin Yi again and said, He's sick. Sister Chu Yao, send a doctor from the spiritual medicine department to treat him. Chu Yao nodded, but she didn't treat Qin Yi herself. After all, Chu Huayin's death was directly related to Qin Yi. Chu Yao's hatred couldn't be dispelled just like that. Xiao Yin. Qin Yi knelt down, tears streaming down his old face. Qin Yi knelt down with tears streaming down his face. He prostrated himself in the dirty soil and wailed, Second uncle was wrong. Second uncle was really wrong. Every day and every night, I dream of my brother. He smiles at me. He always smiles at me. I was blinded by power. I was wrong. I regret everything I've done. Xiao Yin, give the order to kill me. I should have died long ago. Second uncle, you killed the emperor and stole the throne. You should be killed, but I'm a junior. I can't kill you. Qin Yin pointed into the distance and said, Father's grave is over there. I won't kill you, but you have to stay here with him until you die. This is the atonement you should do. As she spoke, her beautiful eyes became misty as she said, "Father was so good to you, just like how he was to me. He was our relative, yet you killed him. This crime cannot be forgiven for the rest of your life. You can stay here." Qin Yi's body trembled. He buried his face in the soil and wailed. Lin Muyu looked at him coldly and said, "Xiao Yin, let's go." "Okay." When everyone was about to leave, Qin Huan knelt on the ground and said with a sobbing tone, "Xiao Yin, what about me? Am I going to die here?" Qin Yin didn't turn around. "Yes, cousin." Qin Huan's face was pale. "What did I do wrong? Why do I have to wait for death here? What did I do wrong? Don't you know what you've done?" Qin Yin turned around and looked at him coldly. "During the Iha nation's chaos, how many loyal people did you kill? How many people did you kill? After that, how many soldiers did you kill? You know it very well, don't you?" "But Qin Huan's body trembled. Tears flowed from his eyes as he cried. "But I've repented. I've really repented. I know what I've done. I've received the punishment I deserve these days. Isn't that enough? Forgive me, Xiao Yin. Forgive me." Qin Yin's gentle gaze was filled with pity. "If repentance means you must be forgiven, then what's the use of the country's laws? I'm already forgiving you by not killing you. Cousin, you're on your own now." Qin Huan wailed and fell to the ground. Lin Muyu's gaze was as sharp as a sword. "Imperial guards, watch him. If Qin Huan dares to cry again, kill him." "Yes, Marshal." Everyone drew their swords. Qin Huan was so frightened that he could only whimper. Under the moonlight, Feng Jixing asked with a smile, "Why don't you let him cry? He's already very pitiful." "There must be something hateful about a pitiful person," Lin Muyu said. "He actually cried like this to gain Xiao Yin's sympathy. He knows that Xiao Yin is kind-hearted, but he still wants to use it to put on an act in front of me. The fact that I didn't kill him shows that I'm kind-hearted." "Oh, you're really kind-hearted." Tang Xiaoxi giggled. Qin Yin was amused as well. In the darkness of the night, a huge tomb stood majestically in the middle of the forest of guardian monuments. It was the tomb of the late Emperor Qin Jin. A group of royal guards surrounded the area with torches in their hands while Qin Yin, Lin Muyu, Tang Xiaoxi, and the others dismounted from their horses and knelt in front of the tomb in order. There was a line of words on the tombstone. "Tomb of the Radiant Emperor, Qin Jin." Qin Jin reigned for 27 years. He pacified the 4 provinces in the south, attacked the desert in the north, and built the Demon Suppression Pass in the west. He could be considered a wise ruler. Unfortunately, the chaos of Iha country had wiped out almost all his merits. "Imperial Father, Xiao Yin is back." "I'm back too," Qin Yin and Lin Muyu said one after another. After Feng Jixing kowtowed, he got up and approached the tombstone. "Some things can't be delayed for too long. Your Majesty, I should inform you about Her Highness and Yu's marriage." Ouying Yin asked, "Why? Are you going to be a matchmaker?" Feng Jixing touched his nose. "Not necessarily. The Emperor is not anxious, but the eunuch is." Ouying Yin giggled. At this time, Qin Yin blushed and said softly, "Imperial Father, Xiao Yin likes Brother Yu and will marry Brother Yu in the future. So today, I will tell Imperial Father. I hope that Imperial Father's spirit in heaven can bless us." Lin Muyu pulled out the Xianyuan sword and held it in front of her. She knelt on one knee and said in a low voice, "Your Majesty, I will love and protect Xiao Yin forever. If I break this promise, may the heavens and earth destroy me. Your Majesty, please rest assured and hand Xiao Yin over to me." Wei Chou was stunned. "Is this considered a marriage?" Chu Yao glanced at Tang Xiaoxi beside her and said, "My heart aches for Xiaoxi." Tang Xiaoxi pouted. Lin Muyu coughed and said, "In addition, Your Majesty, I may take one more concubine but no more." Damn. Feng Jixing almost pointed his middle finger at her. How could she do this? Wei Chou said, "Please understand, Your Majesty. After all, Lin General is the Emperor of Gods, one of the rulers of the divine realm. It is very rare for him to marry 2 concubines. Everyone." Lin Muyu stayed in Lanyan City for 3 days and helped Qin Yin deal with various things related to the Congress. Now the members of the Congress were talents selected from all over the country. Basically, all the matters of the country were decided by the Congress, so the responsibility of the emperor was much smaller. The only thing that was not given to the Congress was the military power. But once Lin Muyu and the others really ascended and never came back, the military power was given to the Congress to control the normal operation of the empire. On the fourth day, the Wheel of Time was facing the southeast direction, which was where the earth was. Now Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi were all perfected divine emperors. Their bodies could withstand the impact of the time quicksand and fly to the position of the earth. After a discussion, they decided to add Gomang to the group to help Lin Muyu find the location of the Gonggong Navy. After all, Gomang was calm and gentle, so it was much safer than bringing along the other three ancestors of sorcery. At noon, a few rays of golden light spread in the Zetian Palace. Lin Muyu and the others had already disappeared, entering the speed of the flowing light shuttling. The time quicksand kept attacking her body. Lin Muyu forced her eyes open and looked at the scene in front of her. She couldn't help but jump with joy in the depths of her heart. She had waited for this day for too long. After 12 years away from home, she was finally going home. The time dimension of the earth and the Shattered Cauldron realm were different. 12 years in the Shattered Cauldron realm was equivalent to 4 years on earth. So after 4 years, would her father and brother be fine? She looked around and saw Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi squinting their beautiful eyes. She wondered how happy her father would be to bring these two beautiful wives home. Chapter 1085. Earth China Magic City Shanghai. Night fell, and the lanterns were lit. At night, Shanghai was full of neon lights and heavy traffic. The bright long streets weaved the city into squares, and even the Pearl Tower in the night sky could be seen from afar. It had not been seen for many years, but it was still so bright and moving. The night breeze blew gently. It was autumn. In the pitch-black sky, several figures slowly shuttled out of the dimensional space. The golden light on their bodies slowly dissipated, and their figures also disappeared into the night. It was impossible to see them with the naked eye. The night breeze blew her cloak gently. Lin Muyu's clear eyes looked at the bustling city, and she could not help but feel excited. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi opened their beautiful eyes wide. This city was far more prosperous than Lanyan City, and the cars running on the road were much better looking than the steam-powered cars in Lanyan City. Brother Yu, is this your hometown? Qin Yin blinked. Yes, this is my home. Lin Muyu looked at the city longingly. It had been 12 years since she last saw it, but it was still as peaceful and prosperous as before. Beside her, Gomang took a deep breath. After leaving the great realm of desolation for so many years, this place has changed a lot. I did not expect it to become like this. Yes, the battles here are no less than those in the Shattered Cauldron realm. Lin Muyu looked disdainfully at the earth and said, Let's go, I will take you home. My home is in a villa in the suburbs. It's the weekend now, so Dad and brother should be staying there. Moo, what about your mother? Tang Xiaoxi said. You have never mentioned her. Lin Muyu was stunned and said, Mom passed away when I was very young. It was Dad who raised me and brother alone. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay, it was a long time ago. Lin Muyu turned and flew into the distance. Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi and Gomang also quickly followed. Lin Muyu's house was not far away. Near the suburbs, there was a group of buildings that looked like giants that stretched for nearly 5 miles. That was the location of the Long Xian group, and also where Lin Muyu's family business was located. It was the foundation that her father Lin Shun had worked hard for many years to build, and her home was in a villa less than 5 miles away from the Long Xian group. The cool autumn breeze blew into the hall. There were a few dim lights in this castle-like villa, and the sound of cooking came from the kitchen. On the sofa in the living room, a young man was lying there with a magazine in his hand. His appearance was somewhat similar to Lin Muyu's. He frowned and muttered to himself. Is Li Xiaoyao really going to stay at the top of the CBN rankings? It's been almost half a year, and I still haven't seen Fang Guke surpass him. There's really no justice in this world. At this moment, a middle-aged man walked out from the room next door. He seemed to be in good spirits. but there was a hint of fatigue on his slightly aged face. Lin Yan. Dad, what's wrong? Lin Yan turned around. Lin Shun glanced at the magazine in his hand and said, Are you still planning to switch from Conquer to Destiny? Yes. Lin Yan's face was filled with excitement as he said, My guild is ranked number 1 in Conquer, and we also have number 1 in terms of numbers. As long as I make a call, I can take at least half of them with me. Just these elites alone are enough to fight for a place in Destiny. I heard that in a month, Destiny will release a new patch. All players' levels will return to 0, and their original strength will be included in the training experience system. It's a great opportunity for us to enter Destiny. What do you think, Dad? Lin Shun sat on the sofa, rubbed his temples and said, You're not young anymore, but you're still addicted to games. Heh, Lin Yan laughed. Aren't I also helping you with the Long Xian group's matters? How can you say that I'm addicted to games? That 3 days of fishing, 2 days of drying nets is considered taking care of things? Lin Shun sighed, and looked out the window with a deep gaze. I wonder how your brother is doing. Last time, Li Xiaoyao said that he seemed to have seen him, but he wasn't sure. We've been trying our best to find him for 4 years, but we still couldn't find him. If he was still here, there would be someone to help me take care of the Long Xian group. Dad. Lin Yan frowned. I know you miss Xiaoji, but we don't even know where he is right now, whether he's dead or alive. You'll damage your body if you keep thinking about him every day. Sigh, Lin Shun sighed again. Xiaoji works much harder than you, and he's also more talented than you. You're not willing to inherit the Long Xian group, but he's probably willing. Lin Yan put down the magazine and smiled helplessly. Fine. When Xiaoji really comes back, he and I will help you take care of the company. That should be fine, right? Lin Shun didn't say anything. He just looked at the photo frame on the table. It was a photo of Lin Yan and Lin Ji, the 2 brothers, when they were children. All these years, Lin Shun had devoted almost all of his efforts to Lin Ji. But now that Lin Ji had been missing for 4 years, he felt lost every time he thought about it. Holding the cup of water that was gradually cooling in his hand, Lin Shun's voice was extremely soft. If I can exchange it for Xiaoji coming back safe and sound, I'm willing to die. Dad. Lin Yan's eyes reddened. Don't say it. The more I think about it, the more sad I feel. I also want Xiaoji to come back early, but there's nothing we can do. We can only wait like this. The father and son fell into silence. A few dozen meters in the sky outside the window, a few black shadows gradually appeared. Lin Muyu's ears and eyes were sharp, and he heard everything clearly. He couldn't help but feel sour in his heart. After being away from home for so many years, he also missed home. However, he couldn't help but fall into the quagmire of the Shattered Cauldron realm. Now he was finally back. Qin Yin's pair of beautiful eyes looked at the father and son in the living room behind the glass. She was slightly touched, and her beautiful eyes were covered with a thin layer of mist. She said, Big brother, you quickly go back. Don't let them wait bitterly for you anymore. Tang Xiaoxi also pushed Lin Muyu's arm and said, I will wait for you here with Xiao Yin. When the time is right, we will go in. Okay. Wait for a while. I will come to pick you up immediately. Okay. Rustle. The wind blew the fallen leaves on the spacious second-floor balcony of the villa. Lin Muyu landed along with the fallen leaves. He walked on the wooden planks and walked to the living room on the second floor. The huge floor-to-ceiling windows reflected the light, as well as the figures of his father and brother. Lin Muyu gently raised his hand, but then hesitated. At times like this, people would always have an indescribable feeling of uneasiness. In the end, his palm landed and gently tapped on the window. Clang, clang. What's that sound? Lin Shun raised his head. It sounds like the sound outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. It's probably a stray cat. Recently, there have been a few stray cats walking around our balcony. Lin Yan continued to pick up the magazine. However, the sound of knocking on the window sounded again, and it was very rhythmic. Someone's here, Lin Shun said. Lin Yan immediately stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows with a frown. He opened the curtains and saw a figure through the glass. He couldn't help but be stunned. It was a young man wearing armor and a cloak. His handsome face seemed familiar, and he was smiling at him through the glass. After a few seconds, Lin Yan's whole body trembled. He suddenly opened the door and hugged Lin Muyu. He laughed excitedly and said, "Xiaoji, is it you? It must be you, right?" Lin Muyu hugged her brother back. "Brother, I'm back." At this time Lin Shun said in a trembling voice, "Xiaoji, are you Xiaoji?" This call made Lin Muyu's whole body tremble. Her heart was filled with mixed feelings. Tears swirled in her eyes, and she was almost crying. Her father hadn't seen her for 4 years, but she hadn't seen her father for as long as 12 years. Moreover, in these short 4 years, her father had aged a lot. He was no longer the chairman of the Long Xian group in the prime of his life. Taking a step forward and looking at her father's face, Lin Muyu didn't know what to do. She couldn't help but kneel on the ground on one knee. Unknowingly, she gave an imperial military salute and said in a trembling voice, "Dad, I'm sorry. I came back late." "Xiaoji, it's really Xiaoji." Lin Shun quickly knelt on the ground and helped Lin Muyu up. Looking at his son's appearance that hadn't changed at all, he said, "Xiaoji, where have you been all these years?" The dignified chairman of the Long Xian group, a business giant with a net worth of tens of billions, was now in tears. Lin Muyu hurriedly helped her father up. Her nose turned sour, and her tears also fell. She said, "Dad, I'm back now, aren't I? I've been living in another world all these years and didn't have the ability to come back to see you. I can finally come back now. It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back." Lin Shun was helped back to the sofa by Lin Muyu, but he still couldn't calm down. He said, "Xiaoji, why are you dressed like this?" Lin Yan also laughed and patted Lin Muyu's shoulder. "That's right, you're dressed like a general. Which world are these clothes from? Io, there are barbs on your shoulder armor. They're stabbing me. Brother, be careful." Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. "Do you still remember the game Conquer?" "Of course, I'm still playing it now. Conquer is a game designed based on another world, and I've lived in that world for many years. It's a long story, and it's too deep to explain. Let's talk about it next time." Lin Muyu looked out the window and said, "Dad, I didn't come back alone this time. I brought 3 companions with me." "Oh, where?" Lin Shun asked. "They're outside the window. Quick, let them in." Okay." Lin Muyu opened the floor-to-ceiling window. Lin Shun and Lin Yan also walked out. Lin Muyu shouted softly to the sky, "Xiaoyin, Xiaoshi, Gomong, come down." 3 figures slowly descended from the sky. Although the light on the balcony was dim, it was enough to make out the appearance of Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. They had a style that was different from the local girls. They were incomparably beautiful. Lin Yan was stunned. He couldn't help but pat Lin Muyu again. F***CK. They actually flew down. Are they fairies? Brat, you're good. Io, your broken shoulder armor pricked me again. I'm bleeding. I told you to be careful. Lin Muyu said cheerfully, "Xiaoyin, Xiaoxi, come and meet my father Lin Shun." Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi took a step forward at the same time. Their faces were slightly red. It was like a daughter-in-law meeting their parents. The 2 of them bowed in unison. "Greetings, uncle." They were using the etiquette of the empire's ladies. It was an etiquette that had long been abolished in modern times. However, it was gentle and generous. It had a unique flavor. Lin Shun was instantly overjoyed. At least he didn't have to worry about his grandson anymore. For a moment, the way Lin Shun looked at Lin Muyu changed. This kid was promising. He was much more promising than his brother. Although Lin Yan would also bring girls home, they would always stay for one night, and then never see them again. Lin Shun couldn't remember how many girls there were throughout the year. Sometimes he really wanted to beat him to death. Chapter 1086. Let's go inside, it's cold outside. After a while, Lin Shun reminded them. Lin Muyu also said, "Okay, let's go inside." Everyone walked into the living room together. Lin Muyu arranged for Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to sit on the sofa next to her, while Gomong casually wrapped himself in a robe and sat on the other sofa. Lin Yan kept staring at Gomong and said, "This friend's clothes are really unique. Why does it have fur on it?" "Because he's a bird," Lin Muyu said. Haha, Xiaoji, don't try to fool me. Lin Muyu raised an eyebrow and said, Gomeng, show my brother. Yes. Gomeng floated up and gently waved his palm. Suddenly, the roar of a dragon and a tiger could be heard. A white dragon quickly hovered in the living room, its beard swaying, its eyes fixed on Lin Yan. F***CK, what is this? Lin Yan was so scared that he fell onto the sofa. His face was pale, and he desperately kicked his feet as if he wanted to sink his body into the sofa. All right. Lin Muyu waved her hand. You scared my brother. Gomeng laughed, kept the white dragon, and sat down again. Lin Yan stood up silently and walked to the bathroom. Brother, what's wrong? Lin Yan stopped and said, I think I might need to change my pants. I was so scared just now that I peed my pants. Puffed. Tang Xiaoxi and Qinin laughed together. Lin Shun was much calmer. He said, Xiaoji, what happened to you all these years? Tell me about it. Yes. Lin Muyu nodded lightly and said, the world I'm in is called the Shattered Cauldron Realm. The time dimension is 4 times that of Earth. In other words, I've actually been in the Shattered Cauldron Realm for 12 years. The elemental laws of that world are completely different from Earth's. It's suitable for deriving martial souls and cultivating. In other words, it's possible to cultivate to become a god there. The Shattered Cauldron Realm is extremely far from Earth. Lin Shun frowned. Strong enough? What do you mean? The Great Perfection God Emperor Realm is at the top of the gods. Lin Muyu said sincerely. It is very strong, very strong. Lin Shun took a deep breath and was slightly unable to accept it. He said, very strong to what extent? Lin Muyu pondered for a few seconds and said, powerful enough to destroy Earth in minutes. What? Lin Shun was shocked. Xiaoji, did you experience too much in the other world that caused your mind to become abnormal? I mean, it's impossible for anyone to destroy Earth in minutes. Lin Muyu smiled and held Lin Shun's arm. Dad, I'm just saying. I'm not really going to destroy Earth. This is my home. How could I do such a thing? Besides, I can't prove it to you. Anyway, I'm indeed different from before, but I'm still Lin Ji. That hasn't changed. What did you say? Destroy Earth in minutes? Lin Shun changed his pants and walked out. He was much more receptive now. He said, I believe this. Now, I believe whatever Xiaoji says. Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. Yes, that's about it. Brother, I've been away all these years. You've been the only one taking care of Dad. It's been hard on you. It's nothing. It's my job. Lin Yan sat back on the sofa. Lin Shun was speechless. I'm the one taking care of him. He's already an adult, but he's still addicted to games and doesn't want to improve himself. Fortunately, Xiaoji, you're back. I'll be more at ease with you taking care of the company. Lin Muyu was startled. Dad, I won't be staying on Earth for long this time. Why? Lin Shun's face was full of displeasure. Because the matter in Shattered Cauldron World hasn't been settled. After I finish my responsibilities there, I'll come back to Earth to accompany you. Lin Shun frowned. After a while he said, this is your home. Do you remember? You've been away for so many years without any news. I'm not going to scold you, but now that you're back, you're leaving again. Lin Muyu had mixed feelings. She felt very apologetic. She said in a low voice, Dad, I won't be leaving for long. This time, I'll be back very soon. I'll be back in a year at most. I'll be cultivating in the immortal realm. I can also help you and brother achieve immortality. I don't want immortality. I just want our family to be together and not be separated. Lin Shun said stubbornly. Qinin pursed her red lips. She wanted to say something but stopped. After a few seconds she said, Big brother you, since uncle has said so. Then let's stay here for a while. Anyway, the Dragon League is guarding Shattered Cauldron World. Nothing big will happen. See, Xiaoyin is much more sensible than you, Lin Shun said. Qinin secretly smiled at Lin Muyu with a faint apology. Lin Muyu was speechless. Lin Shun continued, since Xiaoyin has said so, then you guys can stay here for a year. The clothes from your world can't be worn here. Tomorrow, you and your brother can bring Xiaoyin and Xiaoxi to buy more clothes. There are many rooms in the house, so you can stay here. A year? Lin Muyu quickly shook her head. A year on Earth is 4 years in Shattered Cauldron World. By the time we return in 4 years, I'm afraid it'll be too late. But this is your home. Staying here is what you should do. Lin Shun's tone was much tougher. After so many years, it was still the same. The temper of this director of the Long Xian group had not improved. Lin Muyu was already used to it. She discussed and said, Dad, 1 month. We have to leave after staying here for a month. Otherwise, it'll be too late. Lin Yin said, Dad, since Xiaoji has compromised, then 1 month it is. It's better than leaving immediately, right? Lin Shun frowned. 1 month it is. You have to promise to eat at home every night. You're not allowed to stay outside. There's a curfew at night, and you're not allowed to fly down from the skylight. Lin Muyu did not know whether to laugh or cry. Her dad was still using the old ways to restrict her. However, she felt warm. She nodded and said, Okay, I'll listen to you. That's good. Lin Shun beamed. Lin Yan, call assistant Luo later. Tell her that I'll be home for dinner every night for a month. Ask her to cancel all my evening social engagements. Okay. Lin Yan nodded happily. However, he secretly put his hand on Lin Muyu's shoulder and said, Cultivating to become an immortal will make your brother immortal. Is this true? Ouch, your armor is poking me again. Brat, go to your room and change your clothes. If you keep wearing this, I'll go crazy. Lin Muyu could not help but laugh. I know. I'll change. Is there any girls' clothes at home? Xiao Yin and Xiaoxi should change too. No. Lin Yin shook his head. Okay, I'll take them to buy clothes later. Okay, I'll go with you. I'm familiar with Meiluo. You weren't familiar with it before, right? Who said that? Recently, my girlfriends often go to Meiluo. I'm very familiar with it. Brother, I have to give you a piece of advice. Huh, if you indulge yourself too much, even if I refine the best elixir for you, I'm afraid you can't be immortal. I know. I'll try my best. After the family finished dinner, Gomong flew to the sky to revisit this land, so there was no need to care about him. Lin Muyu changed out of her Chiyu armor and found her clothes from 4 years ago in her closet. However, she found that they were all famous brands like Versace, Armani, and Givenchy. She could not help but smile bitterly. She chose the most standard set of clothes, a shirt, a casual tie, and a casual suit. Although it was much more comfortable to wear, it still felt like she was floating and not steady enough. However, when Lin Muyu walked out of the room, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's eyes lit up. This was Lin Muyu with a different style. Big brother, did you wear this in the past? Qin Yin asked with a smile. Yes, how is it? Good. Lin Muyu chuckled. Let's go, I'll take you two downstairs to buy clothes. People will think you're cosplayers if you dress like this. The two girls were at a loss for words. After going downstairs, Lin Yan was already waiting. After pressing the remote, 2 beautiful cars immediately appeared in front of them. Lin Yan said excitedly, These are the 2 new cars I bought. The white one is a Porsche coupe, and the red one is the latest Ferrari. It has a lot of horsepower, and the roar of the engine is very powerful. Choose one. Lin Muyu pointed at the Porsche and said, This one is mine. The Ferrari's color is too flashy. It doesn't suit me. Yo, brat, why isn't your sapphire blue Lamborghini flamboyant? Now that you mention it, where's my Lamborghini? I sold it as a used car. Lin Yin shrugged. You haven't been back for so long that it's almost rusted. I'm afraid it'll only be sold as an antique in a few years. I'm doing this out of consideration for you. Lin Muyu pointed at him angrily. Just you wait, you owe me a sports car. Lin Yin laughed. It's fine. I'll buy you 10 Lamborghinis if you want them. As he said that, Lin Yin started the Ferrari and the engine roared loudly. He whistled and asked with a smile, Sisters-in-law, who wants to go for a ride with me? Qin Yin smiled. Big brother, you can go by yourself. Xiaoxi and I will follow you. Humph, Lin Yin said angrily. I knew it. Lin Muyu got into the car and arranged for Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to sit down. She even helped Qin Yin fasten the seatbelt because Qin Yin didn't know how to do it. Soon, the 2 sports cars sped out of the villa area and went straight to the street. The neon lights flashed on both sides as Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi widened their beautiful eyes and were stunned. How is it? Is it beautiful? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Qin Yin nodded and said happily, I like it here. Tang Xiaoxi clung to the front seat and said with a smile, I like it here too, Mu. When we unify the Shattered Cauldron world in the future, let's stay here for a long time, okay? Okay. Lin Muyu smiled. In this world, as long as you have money and power, this is heaven. When you see the women's clothing here, you'll like it even more. Oh. The two girls were at a loss, but Lin Muyu was very confident. No girl could resist the temptation of beautiful clothes, and Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were no exception. Chapter 1087. The mall was very lively at night. Just as Lin Muyu had expected, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's outfits attracted the attention of the crowd. Even though the two of them weren't wearing empress or princess costumes, they were still wearing Lanyan City's flowing cloud full-length dresses. Coupled with their beautiful figures and looks, many people had already picked up their phones to take photos of them. What are they holding in their hands? Qin Yin was surprised and did not know what to do. Cell phones. Lin Yan was stunned. These two girls really came from another world. Lin Muyu could have destroyed all these cell phones with the control of her domain, but she thought it would be too overbearing and had no choice but to give up. Fortunately, her savior appeared in front of her. In the first women's clothing store, she hurriedly led Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi into it, as if she was escaping. Lin Yan stood guard outside the door, raised his eyebrows and said, What are you taking photos for? Haven't you seen beautiful women before? This hedonistic son of a rich family was quite imposing, and he scared the group of young people who were holding cell phones and left resentfully. As soon as they entered the store, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were dazzled. Everything here was novel to them. The beautiful matching styles of the clothes were not available in Lanyan City, or even the entire celestial realm. They couldn't help but sigh with emotion at the creativity of humans. These designers really knew how to express the beauty of women. Several female employees were also dumbfounded. The sudden arrival of two beauties who could cause the downfall of a nation, coupled with two handsome men, made the entire store feel as if their presence had brought light to their humble dwelling. At this moment, Qin Yin was standing in front of a set of underwear and a small windbreaker. Her beautiful eyes were full of love. Lin Muyu chuckled and asked, Do you like it? Yes. Then try it on and buy it if you like it. Let's go. I'll bring you to the fitting room. It's over there. Okay. Qin Yin was a little cautious. After all, it was her first time coming to such a place. Tang Xiaoxi, who was not far away, was also quite mischievous. After sending Qin Yin to the fitting room, Lin Muyu also took a set for Tang Xiaoxi. Not long after, the two girls walked out of the shop, and they gave everyone a new feeling. Even the shop assistant couldn't help but exclaim, So beautiful! So beautiful! Lin Yan rubbed his nose and nudged his brother's shoulder. Xiaoji, where did you meet these two beauties? Who are they? Brother, you want to find out about their background? Yes. Xiao Yin is the queen of the Shattered Cauldron Realm continent, while Xiaoxi is a princess. Both of them are above everyone else. What? Lin Yan turned pale with fright. F***CK. You're not lying to your brother, are you? Why would I lie to you? Lin Yan narrowed his eyes. Then Xiaoji, what have you been doing in the alternate world for so many years? Lin Muyu was silent for a few seconds. Why, you don't want to tell me? Actually, you can tell me, but you can't tell Dad. Haha, tell me. Don't you trust your brother? Yes. Lin Muyu nodded and said in a low voice. I've been leading troops to war for so many years in the Shattered Cauldron realm. Simply put, my job is to kill. Ah. Lin Yan shuddered. For a moment, he couldn't come back to his senses. He had a look of disbelief on his face. Lin Muyu didn't want him to believe her either. She turned around and continued to serve Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. This Shirley women's clothing store had many beautiful designs that were very suitable for beautiful and elegant girls like Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. In fact, as long as one had a beautiful face and a good figure, they would look good in anything. This was without a doubt. Very quickly, Qinin took a fancy to a beige windbreaker. The price had already soared to more than 15,000. She seemed to understand the significance of these numbers. With a hopeful look in her eyes, she asked in a low voice, "Big brother can I buy this?" Lin Wuyu couldn't help but laugh. "Shop assistant, wrap this up too." "Yes, handsome." The beautiful shop assistant was overjoyed today. The first order of the night was so big, and the customers were also handsome and beautiful. For a moment, her mood was infinitely good. In the end, Tang Xiaoxi bought 3 sets, and so did Qinin. The total price was more than 70,000. At the cashier, Lin Wuyu curled her lips. "Brother, come here." "What are you doing, brat?" "Swipe my card." "What else can I ask you to do?" "Ah." Lin Yan was stunned. "Why do you want me to swipe my card? Didn't Dad give you a card before we left?" "Ah, he gave me a card?" "Yes, that diamond card. There's more than 50 million in it. It's enough for you to spend. Don't tell me you left it in the car." Lin Wuyu was stunned and almost forgot about it. Qinin, who was next to her, held a card and said, "Big brother is this what Big brother is talking about? You put it in my place." "Oh, that's great." Lin Wuyu instantly felt very rich. Lin Yan was speechless. "The password is your birthday. Swipe it yourself. Moreover, this card is connected to Dad's card. Even if you swipe it all, you can still borrow it from Dad. But I don't think it's 50 million, unless you want to buy a yacht. Tell your brother, don't tell me you want to buy a yacht. It's not impossible." Lin Wuyu smiled. "Maybe if I'm in a good mood, I'll take Xiaoyin and Xiaoxi out to sea on a yacht." "Prodigal, you really haven't changed." As they spoke, Lin Wuyu had already swiped the card. Qinin and Tang Xiaoxi had already changed into a new set of clothes. Although they were still eye-catching, at least no one would take out their phones to take pictures. After sending the clothes back to the car, Lin Wuyu was thinking about the Gong Gong Water Army, and was not in the mood to shop. However, Qinin and Tang Xiaoxi seemed to want more. They really wanted to know more about the world that Lin Wuyu grew up in. Lin Yan was considerate. He closed the car door and said with a smile, "Xiaoji, don't go back so early. Dad is watching an archaeology documentary. Let's not go back and disturb him. Why don't we go and watch a movie? The theater is not far away. Recently Yuan 4 is showing. It's worth watching." "Oh, let's watch it then." Lin Wuyu nodded. Qinin and Tang Xiaoxi cheered. Naturally, they knew that there was something fun to watch. JY Cinema. After buying the tickets, they had to wait 20 minutes before the screening started. Thus, the 4 of them stood in the hall and waited. The handsome man and beautiful woman naturally attracted the attention of many people. "Isn't that the god of magic, Lin Yan?" "Not far away," a student wearing thick glasses said. "Yeah, it really is Lin Yan," another otaku said. Lin Wuyu was speechless. "Brother, it seems like someone recognized you." Lin Yan rubbed his nose. "Can't help it. I'm famous. I can't let go of the burden of being the idol of China's current generation king of gaming." Lin Wuyu joked, "But I heard that the first place on the CBN BattleNet is Xiaorao Zizai, second is Feng Gukei, third is Tsong Tong, fourth is Qsword, fifth is Dongcheng, and sixth is you. What kind of king of gaming are you? Stinking brat. How can you talk to your big brother like that?" Lin Yan laughed as he punched Lin Wuyu's arm. But it didn't hurt at all. On the contrary, Lin Wuyu's body emitted a faint aura that shook Lin Yan's fist. He couldn't help but ask in surprise, "Xiaoji, did your body structure change? How come? It's like your skin is made of copper and your bones are made of iron." Lin Wuyu said in a low voice, "It's not just copper and bones. I'm telling you, I'm invulnerable." "Why are you panting when I say you're fat?" The quarrel between the 2 brothers caused Qinin and Tang Xiaoxi to burst into laughter. They finally understood why Lin Wuyu was reluctant to leave this family. The feeling of having family was naturally much better than being alone. It was just that it was a pity that Qinin and Tang Xiaoxi had lost almost all their family members. Therefore, behind their smiles, there were endless feelings of nostalgia. At this moment, 2 fans came over to ask for Lin Yan's autograph. Lin Wuyu held Qinin's and Tang Xiaoxi's hands and said in a soft voice, This family will also be your family in the future. The two of you are the future mistresses of this family. You must be filial, understand? Although this sentence was simple, it made Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi almost cry. They nodded in unison, indicating that they would work hard. Afterward, the two fans wanted to take a photo with Lin Yan, and it was even taken by Lin Muyu. At the same time, the two fans sought Lin Yan's permission to post the photo on Weibo. At this moment, Lin Yan had no idea what the burden of being an idol was. Qin Yin smiled and asked softly, "You is big brother very good in the game?" "Good." Lin Muyu pursed her lips and said, "When I was online, I beat him up even with half my equipment off." "Brat, shut up. Don't disgrace your brother's glorious image in front of sister-in-law." Lin Yan turned his head and glared. Lin Muyu laughed and stopped telling the truth. At this moment, the movie was about to start, so the four of them entered the theater together. There weren't many people watching, and not long after, the movie started. As usual, the fighting was intense, the movements were gorgeous, and the emotions were deep. Halfway through the movie, Lin Yan turned his head and asked softly, "Xiaoji, you also know martial arts in the alternate world, right?" "Yes." Lin Muyu nodded. "Who do you think is better, you or Yiwen?" Lin Yan asked a very penetrating question. Lin Muyu thought for a long time and said, "Yiwen is a martial arts master of his generation. He is respected by many, and I admire him very much." "What about you?" "I am." "What exactly are you?" "I am a grandmaster of my generation." "Pfft. Does the alternate world have a school for bragging?" "Ha ha ha ha." Logically speaking, girls shouldn't be interested in martial arts movies, but Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi weren't ordinary girls. They had learned martial arts since they were young, so they were very familiar with the routines of martial arts. Yiwen also made them feel a little emotional after watching this movie. There was a very fitting saying, "If we learn martial arts and don't use it to uphold justice, then what difference is there between us and salted fish?" After the movie ended, the two girls continued to ask about the principles of the movie. Lin Muyu explained for a long time, but they still couldn't understand, so she decided to give them a university book on optical physics for them to study. It was already past 10 o'clock when the movie ended. According to Lin Shun's daily routine, he should be asleep by now. It wouldn't be good for them to go back any later than 12 o'clock, since the house was guarded. In the underground parking lot, the four of them hurriedly went to get their cars. In the garage, a strange voice suddenly came from the corner. "Yo, I was wondering who it was. So it's young Master Lin. Why, did you bring girls out to play again?" TSK, so straight. Young Master Lin is really lucky with women." Chapter 1088. Under the light, a bald, scarred man walked out with a baseball bat in his hand. He was wearing an ill-fitting suit, and his face was filled with hostility. "Young Master Lin, do you know me?" Lin Yan frowned. "Who are you?" "What do you mean? You don't even know who I am?" The scarred man sneered. "Then you should know Kara, that D-cup chick. She's the one you slept with at Soho Bar 3 days ago." Lin Yan frowned. "So what if I know her? It's a consensual thing." "Bullsh *T, that's our boss's woman. How dare you sleep with her?" The scarred man roared. "Brothers, come out. If we don't teach young Master Lin a lesson today, we won't know how powerful the White Dragon Society is." "White Dragon Society?" Lin Muyu smiled. "I've heard of the Black Dragon Gang and the Green Gang, but I've never heard of the White Dragon Gang. Are you all just a bunch of little white dragons? You're so ugly. How could you have the cheek to join us? Who the *CK are you?" The bald man said coldly. "Just think of me as a bodyguard. TSK, I think you're looking for trouble." The scarred man waved his hand, and a group of people rushed in from the entrance of the parking lot. They were all young people, and each of them had a barrel of oil in their hands. In an instant, the smell of gasoline filled the parking lot. "Who are you? What do you want?" The old man guarding the parking lot shouted. "Get lost, old thing, or I'll beat you to death." A gangster with a knife in his hand shouted. The old man rushed out of the duty room, and disappeared like a wisp of smoke. His leg strength was astonishing. "What do you want?" Lin Yan asked. The bald man laughed. "You'll know soon. Brothers, pour the gasoline on that Ferrari. Young Master Lin's car is going to be red hot, right?" With that, the bald man took out a lighter and said with a smile, "You slept with our boss's woman. Today, I will burn your car and break one of your legs. This is in line with the rules of the underworld, right?" Lin Yan clenched his fists and stepped forward, saying, "Take it out on me. Don't burn the car." "Yo, young Master Lin knows how to care about money. Didn't you say that you'd buy suhi if you got high?" The bald knife-scarred man waved his hand and said, "Pour gasoline on me, go break one of Lin Yan's legs, take a video and give it to the boss." A group of hooligans quickly rushed over. Lin Yan gritted his teeth. He had trained before, but he could only fight 3 to 5 hooligans. He couldn't fight a large group of hooligans. However, Lin Yan wasn't worried. With Lin Muyu around, no one would dare to bully the Lin family. Lin Muyu also smiled. She took off her casual suit and handed it to Qin Yin. She said softly, "Xiao Yin Xiaoxi, protect the car. My brother and I will take care of these hooligans. Be gentle, don't kill them. Just beat them half to death." Unexpectedly, fighting with hooligans on the first day of returning to Earth was exciting. "Go, kill him!" The bald man roared in a stern voice. 3 people with baseball bats rushed up at the same time, and the bats went straight to Lin Muyu's head. They were indeed gangsters, and they didn't know how to control their strength. However, Lin Muyu's speed was so fast that it was indiscernible. His figure flashed by, and he used falling star steps. Bang, bang, bang. He punched 3 times in a row. Each punch landed on the abdomen. It was not fatal, but it directly knocked them out. Good boy. Lin Yan was stunned. Although Lin Muyu's skills were good in the past, they were not so good. How could he know that Lin Muyu did not even use 1/10,000th of his strength? Otherwise, these hooligans would not only be seriously injured, but their bodies would be broken. A group of people surrounded Lin Muyu and Lin Yan, and then they flew out one by one, like swatting flies, and hit the wall. The bald knife-scarred man's face was livid, and soon he knew that he was no match for the young man in front of him. He immediately reached out and waved and said, "Catch those 2 women, it's the same." More than a dozen hooligans quickly pounced on Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. However, these 2 peerless beauties were not weak. Qin Yin raised one hand, and the force of the domain rushed out, directly blasting 3 hooligans away. Tang Xiaoxi did not use her divine power either. She flew up and hit one of the hooligans with her knee, directly knocking him out. Then, she caught the barrel of gasoline and carefully placed it. "Don't dirty your clothes, Xiaoxi," Qin Yin said. "Okay." Tang Xiaoxi took a few steps back, opened her palms, and with the demeanor of a grandmaster, she continuously hit the air several times. Immediately, more than a dozen hooligans fell to the ground. In the eyes of the 2 girls, clothes were much more exquisite than these hooligans. Not long after, at least 30 hooligans fell to the ground. The bald knife-scarred man was dumbfounded. He took out a military knife from his waist, and said with a trembling voice, "Don't come over." Lin Muyu floated over, and looked at him coldly. "Who else do you want to break?" "You." "Who are you?" Lin Muyu's gaze was cold. "No matter who I am, go back and tell your boss that my surname is Lin. If you dare to have any ideas about my family again, I will kill your boss." "You." Scram. "Okay." The bald knife-scarred man scrambled away, and most of the hooligans on the ground could not get up. They could only moan on the ground. This time, Lin Yan completely believed Lin Muyu's words. This younger brother of his was not bragging. He was indeed no longer an ordinary person. It would not be a problem for him to fight 100 people alone. He was even stronger than Yi Wen. After returning home, Lin Shun was actually still awake. Originally, Lin Yan did not want to mention what happened in the parking lot, but Lin Muyu directly told him. After understanding the matter, Lin Shun flew into a rage. He first scolded Lin Yan, then sat on the sofa angrily and said, "Tell me, how do you want to deal with this matter? I have heard of this White Dragon gang. Recently, they have been quite fierce in various nightclubs in Shanghai. Whether they are from the underworld or not, they have to give in to them. How did you get into such trouble? Lin Yan was a little helpless. Dad, I didn't know at first. Oh, you're already so old. Yet you don't even know how to act properly. Look at your little brother. He's younger than you, but he's much more mature than you. You should learn from little Roar in the future. Lin Yan was embarrassed. Okay, Dad. Lin Muyu said. It is useless to just scold my brother. Dad should think about what will happen next. This White Dragon gang will definitely not let this go. I know. Lin Shun's eyes turned cold and he said, tomorrow, I will talk to the company's security department and ask them to dispatch 5 people to guard around our residence. This will make it safer. 5 people? Lin Muyu shook her head. 5 people are not enough. The White Dragon gang is ruthless and has no sense of propriety. Lin Shun sighed, but we can only hire some bodyguards who can fight. That is not necessary. Lin Muyu gently rubbed her hands on the teacup, with a faint awe-inspiring look in her eyes, and said, as long as Dad says the word, I can destroy the White Dragon gang in one night. No, you can't do that. Lin Shun's attitude was a little fierce. Why? Lin Muyu was stunned. Lin Shun said, Xiaoji, I don't care what you do in the other world, but this is Shanghai, a place that pays attention to the law. You can't do whatever you want. You are my son, so you must behave. Okay. Lin Muyu sighed softly. In this case, there is no other way. Xiao Yin and Xiao Shi have the ability to protect themselves. The only thing I am worried about is your safety, Dad. From tomorrow on, I will let Gomang stay by your side to protect you. That Gomang, is he reliable? Lin Yan asked. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi burst into laughter. Lin Muyu said, let's put it this way. Without my control, Gomang can become the king of the earth within a month, and all countries, including the M nation, will submit to his power. Lin Yan. Lin Shun was a little displeased. Can't you act like a normal family? Don't fight and conquer the world at the drop of a hat. Lin Muyu immediately lowered her head. Okay, Dad. Qin Yin smiled faintly. There was finally someone who could control Lin Muyu, a supreme emperor god. If Feng Zhanlin, Zhulong, Nangong Lai, and the others saw Lin Muyu, one of the rulers of the divine realm, obediently listening to her dad at home, who knew how much they would laugh. Late at night, Lin Shun was angry for a while, drank some water, and went to sleep. Lin Muyu was watching TV with Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi in the living room with a laptop in her hand. Lin Yan was a guy who slept late every day and had nothing to do, so he was watching soap operas by the side. Xiaoji, what are you checking? Lin Yan could not help but turn his face to take a look, only to find that Lin Muyu's screen was showing a map with dense markings. Checking the location, Lin Muyu said. What location? I'm going to find the location of the treasure. Lin Muyu quickly typed some numbers, looking for the location of the sleeping Gong Gong Navy. Lin Yan came over and was stunned. This is the South Sea? Yes. You're going here? Yes, why? You'd better not go. Lin Yan patted his shoulder. Why? Didn't you look at the map? This area is disputed. Just 2 days ago, the navies of Country M, Country J, and Country Y held a joint military exercise here, pressuring China. This exercise will last for nearly a month. You'd better not go, any cruise ship will be blown to pieces. If Dad knows about this, he'll scold you to death. Lin Muyu frowned. I have to go. It's just a joint exercise, it's fine. I'm just going to wake up a bunch of sleeping antiques. Are you really going? Don't worry. How can I not worry? Lin Yan widened his eyes and said, it's the 7th Fleet. It's not just a few gangsters, it's the 7th Fleet, including the USS Washington aircraft carrier. There are several guided missile cruisers, 300 to 400 carrier-based aircrafts, plus the warships of Country J and Country Y. Aren't you looking for death if you go? No one dares to move the 7th Fleet in the open sea. Even if our country mobilizes all 3 fleets, we won't have any chance of winning. You're crazy to go alone. All right, brother. Lin Muyu patted Lin Yan's shoulder lightly. I'm not going now. I'm just checking the coordinates. I promise you, I'll go after the 7th Fleet leaves, okay? That's more like it. Lin Yan glanced at him. Are you serious? Yes. Lin Muyu leaned on the sofa, looked at the ceiling, and said to himself, if I can destroy the Seventh Fleet, will that be considered loyal to my country? What did you say? Oh, nothing. I said it's a nice night tonight. Brother, why don't you go out and have fun? Go out, my foot. You're already home. Dad's also home. I have to behave myself. Haha, you're scared too. All right, I'll stop talking. Lin Yan stood up and said, I'm going back online to practice my skills. Don't wake me up for lunch before noon tomorrow. Aren't you going to accompany us to the Longxin group? Oh yeah, Lin Yan wailed in pain. I'm becoming more and more like a salted fish without freedom in my life. Bah, you were the one who was like a salted fish before. Chapter 1089. The next morning, Auntie Zhong prepared breakfast. After eating, they went to the headquarters of the Long Xian group. Lin Shun insisted that Lin Muyu attend the board meeting with him. Lin Muyu had no choice but to agree. The family of 3 cars slowly drove to the company in the distance. Gomang accompanied Lin Shun in a car. During this time, the main task that Lin Muyu gave Gomang was to protect his father. The car slowly drove into the area of the Long Xian group, and finally entered the parking lot under the headquarters building. Lin Muyu went upstairs with Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. The board meeting was at 9:30 in the morning. It was not long. Boss Lin, you're here. A female employee in a white work suit greeted them with a smile. Lin Yan whispered to Lin Muyu, this is Assistant Luo, my father's right-hand man in the company. You may have more contact with her in the future. You can get to know her first. Lin Muyu nodded and looked at Assistant Luo. She was about 35 years old, and was still a charming young woman. Her attitude toward Lin Shun was very gentle and respectful. At this time, Assistant Luo's eyes also fell on Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi. She couldn't help but ask in surprise, these are? Lin Shun smiled and said, I forgot to introduce them. This is Lin Ji, my second son. These 2 are Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, Xiaoxi's friends. These 2 little girls are so beautiful. Assistant Luo's praise was not gorgeous, but it was very sincere. At the same time, she hesitated and said, Boss Lin, didn't you say that Lin Ji has been away for many years? Yes, he just came back a few days ago, so I brought him back to familiarize himself with the company. After all, there are many personnel changes. This time, it is convenient for the major directors to get to know each other. Okay, come this way. Most of the directors are already here. Yes. The meeting room was arranged on the first floor of the Long Xian Group's headquarters. Warm sunlight shone into the meeting room, giving people a lazy feeling of autumn. As expected, more than 10 directors in suits and leather shoes had already arrived. Assistant Luo whispered, Ladies, I'll take you to the conference room next door to have a seat. The board meeting will be over soon. After all, it was a high-level meeting of the Long Xian Group. It was not good for outsiders to listen in. After all, others did not know the real relationship between Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi. Lin Muyu said in a low voice, Xiao Yin, Xiaoxi, go over there and have some tea. Wait for me. Hurry up. The 2 little girlfriends were very obedient. Xiaoxi, come with me and sit next to me, Lin Shun said. Yes, Dad. In the end, Lin Muyu and Lin Yan sat on either side of Lin Shun. After a few minutes, the board meeting began. A bald uncle smiled and said, Director Lin, who is this young master next to you? We've never seen him before. He's been away from home for more than 4 years. He's changed quite a bit. I'm sure everyone hasn't seen him before. Lin Shun smiled. Xiaoxi, greet the directors. Lin Muyu stood up and bowed slightly. Hello, directors. Lin Ji is my second son. He left home for 4 years to gain experience. Now he's back. Lin Shun said. I also plan to arrange for him to help me in the company. There are many things that I'm unable to do. So it's young master. No wonder he looks so much like Director Lin. Moreover, Director Lin, you're not old either. You're very capable. Don't you think so? A group of directors echoed. Long Xian Group was a business founded by Lin Shun. The Lin family owned more than 80% of the shares. It could be said that Long Xian Group was a family business. Therefore, these shareholders and directors were naturally respectful. One word from Lin Shun could determine the direction of their lives. Lin Shun coughed and said, "Before today's meeting, I'll announce something. I plan to transfer 20% of the company's shares under my name to Lin Ji's name. Therefore, in the future, Lin Ji will also be one of the company's executive directors. Please remember this." 20%. A female shareholder opened her mouth in shock. Director Lin, in this way, Lin Ji is already the second largest shareholder after you. I know. Lin Shun smiled faintly. Lin Ji is steady and smart. This decision of mine wasn't made in a day or two. In the future, I hope that everyone can learn from Lin Ji and let the group reach new heights. That's. The bald uncle squinted his eyes and smiled. Young Master Lin Yan has been in the company for so many years, but he only owns 10% of the shares. Lin Ji comes back and gives him 20%. The chairman is so biased. Lin Yan couldn't help but laugh. Uncle Wang, don't try to sow discord in our family. Dad knows that I can't keep my money, so he didn't give me too many shares. Moreover, Xiaoji is my younger brother. As long as he wants it, I don't mind giving him the whole group. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. Brother, don't say that. I don't want it either. I'm just helping Dad. As long as Dad is happy, I don't care about anything else. Your family is really interesting. The female shareholder chuckled. Lin Shun coughed. Then today's board meeting officially begins. Xiaozhang, start talking. Yes, Chairman. A young and beautiful female employee stood up and opened a PowerPoint presentation. Today's main meeting is about financing virtual reality games. Currently, there are 13 games that have achieved simulation, including Destiny, Conquer, World Swordsman, Glory, and so on. Among them, Destiny has the highest degree of simulation, and Conquer, and other games like Conquer, can also achieve a degree of simulation of more than 80% after improving the engine. However, the players' demands for technology are getting higher and higher. Only games with 97% or more simulation will have a market. Currently, there are more than 30 games that have been jointly developed by China, America, England, and France. Among them, Eternal Daylight, Dragon's Spirit, and 3000 Worlds have a degree of simulation of 99%. Continue, Lin Shun said. Little Zhang nodded. Our company has already locked onto these 3 games. Eternal Daylight is developed by Warhammer Corporation, Dragon's Spirit is developed by Ouyang Nuoyan's Destiny team, and 3000 Worlds is mainly developed by an American technology company. Eternal Daylight is a fantasy theme, Dragon's Spirit is a combination of Western and Western themes, and 3000 Worlds is a pure Eastern theme. The detailed development data for the 3 games are all here. The directors will understand once you look at the PowerPoint. On the PowerPoint, lines of data were listed. Lin Muyu and Lin Yan looked up. They never expected the Long Xian Corporation to have already begun to intervene in the game industry. It was likely that the gaming world would be stirred up again. Xiaoji, what do you think? Lin Shun asked. Everyone looked at Lin Muyu. In fact, many people knew Lin Muyu's original identity. She was the first person to conquer games and one of the geniuses in China's gaming world. Other than Li Xiaoyao and Fang Guke, Lin Muyu's reputation in the gaming world was probably the highest. All the data for Dragon's Spirit is the highest. Even the details of the development are the most detailed. Lin Muyu looked at the PowerPoint and continued. Furthermore, I've seen Ouyang Nuoyan in person. She's a very capable woman. Compared to the other 2 companies, Destiny Company knows better what kind of game can occupy the market in China. Therefore, I personally think it's better to invest in Dragon's Spirit. Lin Shun smiled. We've discussed with the 3 companies. Lin Ji thinks it's better to invest in Dragon's Spirit. What do you all think? The bald uncle said. The other 2 games can also be considered. Today's meeting will focus on discussion. We'll make a final decision. Okay. Lin Shun nodded and raised his teacup. He started watching the directors argue over the details. Lin Muyu was bored to death. She picked up her new phone, but there was no app on it. She could only continue watching the directors argue. When it was close to noon, they finally stopped arguing. In the end, Lin Shun announced that he would invest in the development of Dragon's Spirit. He would own 8% of the shares of Dragon's Spirit game. This was an unprecedented major decision. After the meeting ended, Lin Shun gave Ouyang Nuoyen a call. In the end, Ouyang Nuoyen happily decided to arrive in Shanghai 3 days later and sign the contract with Long Xian Group. After all, Long Xian Group was famous in the country. Destiny Company was happy to cooperate with such a big company. At noon, they had a buffet in the company's cafeteria. Lin Muyu brought Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to experience the food of Long Xian Group's management. It was not bad. There was a variety of food and the taste was not bad. Then, for the entire afternoon, Lin Yan brought Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi to tour the various departments of the company. They went to almost all the buildings of Long Xian Group. Lin Muyu and the rest were fine, but Lin Yan was already panting from exhaustion. "Brother, you're so weak. You need to train more," Lin Muyu said. Lin Yan was so tired that his face turned red. "Can I be like you? You have the Vajra body. What about me? I'm just a mortal. When are you going to teach your brother an undying secret technique?" "I don't know any undying secret technique, but I can teach you a Vajra protection technique." "Vajra protection technique?" "Yes, it's cultivated by monks." F***CK, will it be ominous? Your brother still needs to get married and have kids in the future. What's there to be afraid of? Don't monks work and can get married and have kids now? That's true. When will you teach it? When you have time later. The elemental energy on Earth is scarce and not suitable for cultivation. I want to give you some external energy to help you cultivate. But your physique is too weak now. You can't take even a billionth of my strength. How is my physique not good? The key to cultivation lies in the energy center and meridians. You've been drinking too much and your meridians are about to be damaged. Your energy center is also filled with filth and emptiness. So wait a little longer. Lin Yan was speechless. His two beautiful sisters-in-law giggled. It was past 4 in the evening. They got off work and went home. 3 cars slowly drove out of the company. They had to get home before the rush hour. Otherwise, who knew how congested the roads would be? On Minhang District's Westindu Road, surprisingly there were no cars. A few cars sped past. Lin Shun's car was at the front, Lin Yan was in the middle, and Lin Muyu was at the back. Lin Shun's car slowly stopped in front of a traffic light. Lin Muyu looked at her father's car in front of her, and held the steering wheel thoughtfully. At this moment there was a sudden whistling sound. A heavy-duty off-road vehicle came barreling from the north-south road, and crashed straight into the Cadillac where Lin Shun was. Bang! In an instant, the Cadillac was pushed back nearly 5 meters by the huge impact. The heavy-duty off-road vehicle continued to rush forward with Lin Shun's car like a madman. Finally, it crashed into the green belt on the road. Glass flew everywhere. The whole car was almost torn to pieces. "Dad." Lin Muyu hurriedly got out of the car and rushed over. Chapter 1090. "Old thing, you're still not dead yet." A burly man jumped out of the heavy-duty SUV, with an iron rod in his hand. He smashed the door of the Cadillac, breaking the lock and forcing the car to open. However, before he could stretch out his hand, vines extended out from the carriage and wrapped around his arm and iron rod. That was Gomang's wood sorcerer's power. It was enough to deal with a mere hooligan. Swoosh! Lin Muyu punched the burly man and sent him flying for nearly 10 meters. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell on the sidewalk. "Dad." Lin Muyu looked into the car and saw Gomang sitting there with a smile. The car was filled with vines and flexible leaves, protecting Lin Shun. There wasn't even a scratch on him. "I'm fine." Lin Shun was still in shock. "Who is this person? He wants to kill me." Lin Muyu nodded. "I know this person. He's the one who wanted to beat up my brother yesterday. They're from the White Dragon Society. Gomang, protect Dad. There's more than one of them." "Yes, leader." Lin Muyu turned around. As expected, Another Buick was charging toward them. This time, it was targeting Lin Yan's car. "Stop it!" Lin Muyu shouted. The next moment, Qinin suddenly appeared in front of the Buick. She spread out her 5 fingers, and the power of the realm spread out like a net. The Buick hit the realm net with a bang, and could not move an inch forward. Behind her, Lin Yan was stunned in the Ferrari. He was sweating. Xiao Yin is so powerful. The door of the Buick opened, and 5 to 6 people rushed out. Each of them was holding blunt weapons and rushed toward Qinin. They raised their arms and roared. 5 blunt weapons fell at the same time. Qinin frowned. A golden light suddenly appeared in her beautiful eyes. "Don't use the flaming eyes." Lin Muyu's voice drifted over. He was more proficient in martial arts. In an instant, he threw a few punches consecutively, sending the hooligans flying. 4 of them had broken bones and could not get up, but one of them was lying on the ground, his bones crackling as if they were mutating. Green scales appeared on his neck, and his eyes became abnormal. His arms were surrounded by black energy, and the plants in the surrounding green zone quickly withered. How could this be? Qinin bit her lips. She knew this kind of power. It was the power of the law of death. Lin Muyu also frowned. "Xiao Yin, Xiao Shi, protect father and brother. Leave this man to me." No one would have thought that the White Dragon Gang would dare to kill people in broad daylight. It was simply lawless. However, it seemed that there was a reason for them to do so. At least, the person in front of them was not someone that ordinary military police could deal with. "Brat, how dare you ruin our plan? Do you want to die?" The big man smiled ferociously. "I will let you know that the people of White Dragon Society are not to be trifled with." As he said that, he leaped into the air. His speed was far faster than before. The green scales on his fist shone brightly, and a black vortex danced wildly as he punched at Lin Muyu's chest. If it were an ordinary person, this blow would probably shatter their heart. This was a human who could use the power of the realm. Although this kind of realm was relatively weak, it could at least withstand ordinary bullets and swords. When Lin Muyu thought of this, she could not help but feel her scalp tingle. How could there be such a species on Earth? Lin Muyu's body sank slightly, and the supreme divine force revolved on her right fist. She punched through the air, using about 3% of her strength. Bang! In an instant, the big man's entire right arm was destroyed. He could run amok on Earth, but in front of Lin Muyu, he was not worth mentioning. If Lin Muyu wanted to, she could even crush him like an ant. Aha! The big man's entire arm was almost shattered. He screamed in pain and spat out black blood. He roared angrily. "Who the hell are you?" Lin Muyu stepped forward and punched him directly in the head, knocking him unconscious. She picked up the iron rod from the ground, twisted it into a rope, and tied him up. She looked back at Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi and said, "It seems that we won't be able to leave Earth for a while. My family is in trouble." Qin Yin nodded, pursed her red lips and said, "Yes, we will stay here. We will leave after we finish off these monsters." At this time, Lin Yan also got out of the car. Looking at the big man in Lin Muyu's hand, he could not help but feel his scalp tingle. He said, "What the hell is this thing? It's neither human nor ghost? Could it be the artificials from a few years ago? No, the artificials have long been destroyed. How could there be such a thing in Shanghai?" Artificials? Lin Muyu was surprised. When he left Earth, there was no such thing. It's a product catalyzed by a kind of technological drug. It's a cross-species genetic combination. It's neither human nor ghost, but it's very strong. Lin Muyu glanced at the big man in her hand and said, "Then this thing is definitely not an artificial's." "Why are you so sure?" Lin Yan was surprised. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "Because the power in his body is not as simple as a product of technology." At this time, Lin Shun also got out of the car. He looked at the traffic jam behind him, and the many people who were watching with their mobile phones. He said, "Don't talk anymore. Everyone get in the car. Take this person and follow me." Yes. Under Lin Shun's guidance, the car took a detour and drove into a certain base. There were even guards in military uniforms standing guard. "Who are you? This is a restricted military area. You are not allowed to enter." the guard said without looking sideways. Lin Shun got out of the car and opened the trunk to reveal the ferocious big man. He said, "Is it okay now?" The guard was stunned. "You are? I know Li Xiaoyao." "You know the captain?" "Okay, he's in the Shanghai base now. Go in immediately. I'll send someone to take you there." "Thank you." The car drove along the road and went underground. It didn't stop until a dozen turns. This was an underground base. It was brightly lit. Research rooms could be seen from afar. Looking in that direction, Qin Yin slightly frowned and said, "There's a master there." Tang Xiaoxi nodded. "Yes, the peak of the Holy Sky Realm. He's only one step away from breaking through to the God Realm. I didn't expect there to be such a master in this world." Lin Muyu couldn't agree more. The elements on Earth were relatively low. If it wasn't a truly talented person, it would be impossible for him to cultivate to this level. From the direction of the gate, a young man in a casual windbreaker walked over with a long sword wrapped in black cloth on his back. He had a casual and lazy smile on his face. He raised his arm and greeted, "Boss Lin over here." Lin Muyu had seen this person before. He was Li Xiaoyao. She stopped the car and took out the big man from the trunk. She walked forward and threw him at Li Xiaoyao's feet. Lin Muyu said, "We meet again." "Yes, did you really come back to Earth this time?" "Not really. I just went home to visit my family and encountered this thing." "Yes, this thing is a headache." Li Xiaoyao stared at the big man's scales on the ground and said, "Mutants." At this moment, the big man suddenly woke up. His eyes were full of fierceness. He roared and was about to get up. "Lie down." Li Xiaoyao's speed was extremely fast. He directly punched the big man in the face and knocked him out again. He raised his head to look at Lin Muyu and said, "Yes, mutants. They are the upgraded version of S-rank artificials. They are even stronger. This is the fourth mutant discovered in the country. Their strength far surpasses artificials." "This is not an ordinary mutant," Lin Muyu said. "Ah, why?" Li Xiaoyao was a little surprised. "Because they can use the power of the laws." "What is the power of the laws?" Li Xiaoyao didn't seem to understand the true cultivation of the laws. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "Tell the unrelated people to leave. I will only show it to you. I don't want anyone else to know of my existence." "Yes." Li Xiaoyao didn't turn his head and said, "Xinglai, bring people into the laboratory and turn off all the surveillance cameras." "Yes, Captain." After everyone left, Li Xiaoyao raised his eyebrows and said, "Linji, is it okay now?" "Yes." Lin Muyu lightly opened her left hand. Suddenly, a dark red rule spirit orb appeared. Suddenly, the surrounding was filled with a ghostly aura, causing people to tremble. Lin Yan and Lin Shun were immediately forced back a few steps by this power. Even Li Xiaoyao frowned and revealed a trace of discomfort. The rule spirit orb became darker and darker. Finally, it turned into a black wave of energy that shrouded the surroundings. This was the most authentic power of the laws of death. If you have fought with these mutants, then you must recognize this power. Lin Muyu said, How do you have this power?" Li Xiaoyao opened his eyes wide and said with vigilance, "You don't have anything to do with these mutants, do you?" Lin Muyu shook her head. "Of course not. If I were their leader, you would be in trouble here. Dad brought us here just to hand this mutant over to you." As he said that, he clenched his hand and all the power disappeared. Li Xiaoyao looked at him deeply and said, "Although I don't know what you have experienced, you are indeed stronger than me. If I stayed on Earth and cultivated, I definitely wouldn't be as strong as you." Lin Muyu said, "We need to cooperate. These mutants have begun to threaten the safety of my family, so I must help you get rid of them." "How do you want to get rid of them?" Li Xiaoyao clenched his fists and frowned. "Ever since the mutants appeared, our special forces in various places have suffered some losses. The most casualties were more than 20 special forces soldiers in one place. No one knows where these mutants appeared from, nor do we know what their purpose is. The real power of the mutants doesn't belong to this plane." "What do you mean?" "I suspect that someone like me has entered Earth, which is why these mutants were created. Also, This person is well versed in the power of the law of death. Perhaps it isn't just one person but many. Li Xiaoyao's heart sank. Looks like we're in big trouble. It would have been big trouble, but I'm back, so it shouldn't be too big. Lin Muyu said, this mutant is working for the White Dragon Gang. Help me investigate the White Dragon Gang's background. We'll start with them first. Sure. Li Xiaorao raised his eyebrows and said, I still have one more thing to ask you. What is it? Please say it. Please enlighten me. This. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. All right then. It's rare to find an expert like you on Earth. I really should learn from you. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.